Chapter 1154, The Shock of the Palace Masters. Chapter 1154, The Shock of the Palace Masters. The 5 palace masters gathered together in the Green Fire Palace, including 3 original bodies and 2 consciousness. They looked very unhappy. The Jin Kingdom, the Sunrise Sword Emperor said with cold eyes. He clenched his hands tightly and his teeth were chattering. Jian Wushuang has reached the level of a Dao Master and has the same strength as us, so he is likely to be the leader of the Green Fire Palace in the future, but now, the Samsara Temple Master sighed slightly. Although I didn't believe in his strength before, I hoped that he would exceed my expectation and then become the leader of the Green Fire Palace. I didn't think that he would be assassinated in the Jin Kingdom. Red Lotus said coldly. Although the 5 palace masters had very high hopes for Jian Wushuang, their main concern was about the Green Fire Palace. They had hoped that there would be a leader in the Green Fire Palace. Therefore, whenever a genius or an expert died, they would grieve. Hearing that Jian Wushuang had died, they were deeply grieved. At this moment, Tang Emperor's expression changed, and then he turned to look at the other palace masters. Please follow me. They felt very confused, but they still followed him. Tang Emperor led them to a secret chamber in the Green Fire Palace. There was no light inside the secret chamber. When the 5 palace masters arrived, a figure appeared out of nowhere. 5 palace masters. Jian Wushuang, who was dressed in a black robe, gave a salute to the 5 palace masters politely. Everyone aside from Tang Emperor was very surprised. Jian Wushuang? You are not dead? Red Lotus screamed at first. Is it your original form rather than your consciousness? Samsara Temple Master stared at Jian Wushuang and then he realized that Jian Wushuang was indeed an original body rather than a short consciousness like him. Did your doppelganger fight with them in the battlefield? That's not right. Why would your doppelganger have such strength? Samsara Temple Master, Void Temple Master, and the other people all felt surprised. It was indeed my original body that appeared in the battlefield, and it has died. However, I have long had 2 original bodies. Jian Wushuang said with a smile. 2 original bodies? All of the palace masters were very stunned. They knew that one could have an original body and a doppelganger, but they never imagined he would have 2 original bodies. Because of inverse cultivation? Void Temple Master stared at Jian Wushuang as if his eyes contained electricity. In fact, they already knew that Jian Wushuang was an inverse cultivator. Yes. Jian Wushuang laughed and nodded. An inverse cultivator has 2 original bodies. If he loses one original body, the other one will find a way to recover it. The 4 palace masters looked at each other and felt very incredulous. They had heard of inverse cultivation, but they only knew a little about it. Among the 5 palace masters, Tang Emperor knew it best. Tang Emperor, did you know Jian Wushuang has 2 original bodies? Red Lotus looked at him. I knew. Tang Emperor nodded slightly and then laughed. My disciple Little Qing is also an inverse cultivator and has 2 original bodies, but nobody knows except me. Well, you knew that Jian Wushuang wouldn't die, but you didn't tell us, so we were worried and grieved for him. Red Lotus snorted, but in his heart he felt relaxed. Samsara Temple Master, Void Temple Master and Sunrise Sword Emperor all laughed. They thought that Jian Wushuang, a peerless genius, had died, but they didn't think that he just lost an original body. Inverse cultivation is really terrible. Samsara Temple Master gasped in admiration and then turned to look at Jian Wushuang. He asked, you said that your original body on the battlefield had died. What about Red Snow King and the other people? Are they dead? I already knew that the original body would die, so I used myself as bait and set a trap for the 4 kings of the Jin Kingdom. Jian Wushuang answered. There is a perilous place in those mountains that I call Chilly Wind Valley. In the Chilly Wind Valley, a mass blood cold wind always bursts out every hour. I experienced its power personally last time. Moreover, I'm the only one who knew of the danger in the Chilly Wind Valley and the rules on the outbreak of blood cold wind. The 4 kings of the Jin Kingdom didn't know that, So I burst into the valley with a mortal heart, and the 4 kings all followed me. After a while, the blood-cold wind burst out. My original body was smashed in an instant. Heaven Shadow King also died. Red Snow King is very strong, so I don't know if he died. If he is still alive, he must have suffered heavy injuries. Jian Wushuang spoke in a low but powerful voice. Hearing this, the 5 palace masters were all shocked. Jian Wushuang should use that original body as bait and then set a trap for those 4 kings. And then, is Heaven Shadow King dead? Is Red Snow King dead or alive? The 5 palace masters looked at each other with shock in their eyes. The kings from the Jin Kingdom were real universe master experts. Every universe master expert was very strong. A universe master was a respectable person in the universe and was supreme in the eternal world. It was very difficult to kill such a top expert, wasn't it? The Green Fire Palace had been fighting with the Jin Kingdom for 5 million years. In the former Mad War, they had fiercely fought against each other. Only several universe masters were killed. Almost no universe master had died ever since. Yet Jian Wushuang had actually directly killed 1 universe master. More surprisingly, no one knew whether Red Snow King, who was the strongest, was dead or alive. The 5 palace masters began to look at Jian Wushuang with different attitudes. They felt very surprised when they found out that Jian Wushuang could escape from Heaven Illusion King, Golden Rock King, and Heaven Shadow King at leisure before, but they didn't think that he was really on par with them. He was likely to have the strong skill to protect himself. Now, however, Jian Wushuang had actually killed a universe master. Although he had taken advantage of the danger of the Chilly Wind Valley to succeed, the 5 palace masters admitted his position in their hearts. In fact, they didn't know that the 4 kings were lucky. The blood-cold wind had burst out soon after they entered the Chilly Wind Valley. If the blood-cold wind had burst out a little later when they had completely entered the valley and had no time to escape, all of the 4 kings would have probably been killed. Chapter 1155, The Odd Thing. Chapter 1155, The Odd Thing. The 4 kings of the Jin Kingdom, including Red Snow King, entered the Chilly Wind Valley personally, but they didn't kill you and lost Heaven Shadow King instead. What's worse, Red Snow King is probably dead. The Jin Kingdom has paid a double penalty this time. Void Temple Master laughed. Had they sustained too many losses? The Jin Kingdom had indeed suffered great losses this time. They had paid a great price but failed to kill Jian Wushuang, who was a potential threat to them. It was so terrible. Jian Wushuang was still alive. He only lost his first original body and some treasures, which had a marginal effect on him. The Jin Kingdom has paid such a great price but didn't kill Jian Wushuang. If they find out about it, they will become wild with anger. Samsara Temple Master snorted. Jian Wushuang is dead. Tang Emperor said suddenly. What? The 4 other palace masters and Jian Wushuang immediately turned to look at Tang Emperor. The reason why the people of the Jin Kingdom are eager to kill Jian Wushuang is that they are afraid that he has the potential to be the leader of our Green Fire Palace and reach a higher level in the future. Now that Jian Wushuang's first original body has died, they must think that Jian Wushuang has really died, which is a good thing for us. Tang Emperor explained. Do you mean that we will hide Jian Wushuang? Sunrise Sword Emperor raised his eyebrows and asked. Yes, we will hide him. To be precise, we need to keep the secret that Jian Wushuang is still alive. Otherwise, they will find other ways to assassinate him and secretly observe Jian Wushuang in the future. If necessary, they will even fight a decisive battle with us preemptively until both sides are dead. Tang Emperor said seriously. Upon hearing this, Jian Wushuang and the 4 palace masters wore grave expressions. In terms of their battle formation, the Jin Kingdom was very eager to kill Jian Wushuang. If they knew that Jian Wushuang was still alive, they were sure to find another way to assassinate him. The Jin Kingdom thinks that Jian Wushuang is dead now, so we should ask Jian Wushuang to hide while he becomes stronger so that he can be a powerful weapon of the Green Fire Palace in the future. At the crucial moment, he is likely to play an incredible role. Tang Emperor continued. You're right. I agree with you. The trump card is always hidden in a secret place. Jian Wushuang is qualified to be our trump card. After some hesitation, the 4 other palace masters nodded, showing that they all agreed with Tang Emperor. What do you think? Tang Emperor looked at Jian Wushuang. As long as it is for the benefit of the Green Fire Palace, I agree. Jian Wushuang laughed. Well, you shouldn't show up on the battlefield later, and shouldn't make contact with the celestial masters of the Green Fire Palace. We, palace masters, will announce your death, and only the 5 of us will know that you are still alive. Tang Emperor continued. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. Jian Wushuang didn't care about whether he could still make contact with the celestial masters. On the other hand, it was a pity that he couldn't appear on the battlefield, but he could also accept it. Since I am not allowed to go to the battlefield, I will return to the Green Fire world because I have something private to deal with in that place. Jian Wushuang said. You can go to the Green Fire world, but remember to keep a low profile. If you need to fight with others, you should hide your identity. If you get into trouble and can't act personally, you should send a message to Samsara Temple Master and Void Temple Master, and then they will help you solve your problem in the Void Continent or Samsara Continent. Tang Emperor said. I understand. Jian Wushuang laughed. He knew that some spies from the Jin Kingdom were hiding in the Green Fire world, so he was supposed to keep a low profile. Otherwise, he would probably betray himself. Tang Emperor paused for a moment and then spoke again. There is another thing. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang and the 4 other palace masters all stared at him. I feel something strange about the assassination attempt of the Jin Kingdom. Tang Emperor said seriously. Something strange? Jian Wushuang was a little confused. You said that you fell into the trap of the 3 kings of Jin Kingdom, but you should remember that the battlefield is huge. How did they know that you fly around the mountains alone? Did they set a trap and wait for you? Tang Emperor looked at Jian Wushuang as he asked. Hearing these words, Jian Wushuang and the other people felt very confused. Jian Wushuang frowned. He also felt that something was wrong, but he had no time to think about it before. Jian Wushuang, did you meet some experts from the Jin Kingdom when you flew near the Chilly Wind Valley? Samsara Temple Master looked at him. No. Jian Wushuang shook his head. He only met the 4 kings in the battlefield but never met an expert from the Jin Kingdom throughout. Could some experts from the Jin Kingdom have approached you, but you didn't notice them? Samsara Temple Master asked. That's impossible. Jian Wushuang shook his head again and spoke with confidence. He was very sure that no experts of the Jin Kingdom had approached him. Otherwise, he would have found them out early on. After he became a Tao Master, he lit the fire of soul and possessed strength of soul. If he exercised the strength of soul, he would be able to discover even a universe master who was hiding near him. Therefore, it was impossible for those experts to approach him secretly. You said that you didn't meet any experts from the Jin Kingdom, but they knew your location and set a trap ahead of time. There are only 2 possible reasons they were able to do this. Samsara Temple Master said in a low voice. First, an expert of the Jin Kingdom probably left a special mark on your body during the Battle of Dan Xan Palace so that they could pinpoint your location. That's impossible, Sunrise Sword Emperor suddenly said. I saw Jian Wushuang outside the Dan Xan Palace, and then took him to the World of Swords. If there was a special mark on his body, I would have noticed it. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. Gu King, who had a high vision and strong psychic ability, had stayed in that original body. He would have told Jian Wushuang if there was a mark in his body. There is the other possibility. Some spies or renegades are hiding in the Green Fire Palace and they told the Jin Kingdom Jian Wushuang's location. Samsara Temple Master said coldly. Spies or renegades? Hearing this, the other 4 kings became very serious. Chapter 1156, The Death. Chapter 1156, The Death. Jian Wushuang, did you meet the Holy Masters from the Green Fire Palace when you flew around Chilly Wind Valley? Have you told your location to others? Samsara Temple Master asked. I'm sure that I didn't meet experts from the Jin Kingdom and the people from our Green Fire Palace at that moment. As for my location, Jian Wushuang suddenly felt surprised. Celestial Master Golden Axe knows. What? Celestial Master Golden Axe? The 5 palace masters immediately looked at Jian Wushuang. Celestial Master Golden Axe is the only person who knows my location, Jian Wushuang said. He continued, Celestial Master Golden Axe seemed to get into trouble on the battlefield and wanted several holy masters who had reached the level of the exceptional realm to help him, so he sent a message to me. I promised him that I would come, but I realized that his strength was far superior to mine, so I gave up. It was because he sent the message to me that I told him my location. Has Celestial Master Golden Axe really done it? The 5 palace masters all frowned. Celestial Master Golden Axe was indeed a good man with a good reputation in the Green Fire Palace. He once fought against the Jin Kingdom on behalf of the Green Fire Palace, and even killed several holy masters from the Jin Kingdom. He went through fire and water for his own friends, but he never cared about the favor that others owed him. Was he really the spy from the Jin Kingdom? In fact, I suspected that there was a spy from the Jin Kingdom in our Green Fire Palace long before. Samsara Temple Master frowned and then said, Our Green Fire Palace sent Ji Wuming to exorcise Samsara at a great expense before, and we were very careful about it. Therefore, the Jin Kingdom shouldn't know about this matter, but they did. I guess that it was our people who revealed the confidence at that moment, but I didn't think that it was Celestial Master Golden Axe. It's difficult to understand a man. Red Lotus shouted coldly with clenched hands. He has only appeared for less than 5 million years and knew the matters about Jin Wuming and Jian Wushuang. He is likely to be the spy from the Jin Kingdom, Void Temple Master said in a low voice. It's too early to assert that he is the spy because we have no hard evidence now. If we go and find him, he probably won't admit it. But we have no way now because he is indeed very popular in the Green Fire Palace, Tang Emperor said. It's very easy for us to find some hard evidence, Sunrise Sword Emperor said. Shall we draw the snake out of its hole? What should we do? Jian Wushuang and the other palace masters all stared at Sunrise Sword Emperor. They think that Jian Wushuang has been assassinated at this moment. If Celestial Master Golden Axe is the real spy, he must be a little scared. Therefore, it is not easy for us to get him out now. We should wait and then begin our action after he lets down his guard, Sunrise Sword Emperor suggested. Okay. The other 4 palace masters all nodded. So you'd better stay in the Green Fire Palace for some days. After we know who is the real spy, you can leave, okay? Tang Emperor looked at Jian Wushuang. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded. Well, there is another thing that needs the help of a palace master. What? You can feel free to say it. Void Temple Master laughed. The 5 palace masters regarded Jian Wushuang as an expert with the same strength as them. If they did not intend to hide him, they would probably announce that Jian Wushuang would become the 6th palace master of the Green Fire Palace. My dead original body carried a lot of treasures and an insect beast. When I was chased by Red Snow King and knew that I couldn't escape, I asked the insect beast to fly away with those treasures in advance. And then my original body was smashed in Chilly Wind Valley. The Blaze Quicksand Gourd was likely to fall into the bottom of the valley, so we could hardly get it again. However, my other treasures and that insect beast still remain on that battlefield, so I want to ask a palace master to go there and bring that insect beast back. After all, I can't go to that battlefield at this moment. Jian Wushuang laughed. It's simple, and I can help you. Samsara Temple Master said with a smile, My original body is also on the battlefield and is not far away from there, so I'd be glad to bring your insect beast back personally. Sorry to trouble you, Jian Wushuang gratefully said. It's my pleasure. You need to tell me where your insect beast is. Samsara Temple Master thought that it was nothing and then smiled. After that, the 5 palace masters talked about it with Jian Wushuang for more than half a day and then left, while Jian Wushuang continued to stay in the secret chamber. Moreover, Tang Emperor also stayed there to keep Jian Wushuang from being discovered. Meanwhile, the 5 palace masters immediately announced the news of Jian Wushuang's death to the holy masters from the Green Fire Palace. When people heard that Jian Wushuang had been assassinated and died on the battlefield, they felt very shocked. Is Jian Wushuang dead? The Jin Kingdom. The Jin Kingdom. Tianhuan King, Golden Rock King, Tianning King, and Red Snow King, who were said to have died, all appeared on the battlefield. They are famous universe masters, but they set a trap to assassinate Jian Wushuang, didn't they? They are so shameless. It's a pity that Jian Wushuang, a peerless genius, has died. I heard that Jian Wushuang had become a Dao master. He had the same strength as our 5 palace masters. If he continued to exercise his skills and then become a holy master in the future, he would probably have become the leader of our Green Fire Palace, but now he has died. Jian Wushuang is dead, but the Jin Kingdom also lost something. Jian Wushuang led the 4 kings of the Jin Kingdom to an impasse in a place called Chilly Wind Valley before he died, and then they paid a great price for this. Tianning King seems to have been killed by Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang knew that he was doomed to die, so he tried his best to make the Jin Kingdom lose some more things. He is really good. The people of the Green Fire Palace were all discussing it. When the holy masters in the Green Fire Palace learned that Jian Wushuang had been assassinated by the kings from the Jin Kingdom, they felt very angry. But when they heard that he had killed a universe master of the Jin Kingdom and painted Red Snow King into a corner before he died, they were very shocked and felt great admiration. But in fact, what they felt most was regret. They felt sorry for Jian Wushuang, the peerless genius. That was because although Jian Wushuang was only a Dao master, he could fight against universe masters and even killed one of them. If he hadn't died, he would have had a great future. Unfortunately, he had died. The Jin Kingdom had expected for Jian Wushuang to have greater strength in the future and then become a disaster to their country, so they took pains to ask the 4 kings to assassinate him, and they succeeded. Chapter 1157, Secret Land. Chapter 1157, Secret Land. Time flew away. In a blink of an eye, 8 years had passed. Jian Wushuang's death had once stirred up great chaos in the Green Fire Palace, but with the elapse of time, their surprise and anger faded away. Shoo! All of a sudden, a bulky figure appeared above the vast battlefield near the Chilly Wind Valley. He wore black armors and a black helmet, and there was a black unicorn on his forehead. He looked down at the ground coldly. Here it is, Samsara Temple Master murmured, and then he sent a message to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, I found the place. Let your worm beast show up. Okay, wait a moment, Jian Wushuang responded. Soon he summoned Gu King. Parasitic on Jian Wushuang, Gu King was closely connected to him. As long as they were not far away, they could communicate with each other through consciousness. After receiving Jian Wushuang's message, Gu King came out from the depths of the ground. Is this Jian Wushuang's worm beast? Samsara Temple Master looked at Gu King and thought in surprise. After that, he said, Little thing, your master asked me to bring you back to him. Little thing. Gu King grumbled in his heart. When I traveled widely in the eternal chaotic world with King Luozhen, you brat were not yet born, and even this world had not yet come into being. How dare you call me little thing? Angry as he was, Gu King did not lose temper. When his body shrank to the size of an adult's finger, he took a leap and perched on Samsara Temple Master. Although Samsara Temple Master traveled at an exceedingly fast speed, it still took him more than a decade to return to Green Fire Palace. Jian Wushuang, your worm beast, Samsara Temple Master said, while handing Gu King to Jian Wushuang. Thanks. Jian Wushuang said plainly but secretly felt very much delighted to meet Gu King again. Soon enough, Gu King entered Jian Wushuang's body again. Gu King, are you all right? Jian Wushuang asked. When Gu King had been on the run back then, he took a blow from Red Snow King. Look at me, do you think I got hurt? Gu King responded with disdain. You should worry about yourself. You're lucky to have 2 original bodies. Losing one of them will not threaten your life. Otherwise, you would have died. Jian Wushuang was rendered speechless. His 2 original bodies was indeed a useful trump card, which benefited him a lot. However, his 2 original bodies could not exist forever. Now he was just a Tao master, so he could possess two original bodies at the same time. However, once he made a breakthrough and reached the level of a holy master, he would have to integrate his two original bodies into a Dharma body. At that time, he would only have one original body left. Jian Wushuang, here are your treasures. Keep them well. To protect them, I even got badly hurt. If you're in danger again, don't expect me to escape away with your treasures again, Gu King said. I have learned from this awkward experience. How could I put myself in such a situation again? Jian Wushuang tittered, putting his treasure aside. He put on his blood-killing plate armor again. It's a pity that Blaze Quicksand Gourd was lost in the chilly Wind Valley. I don't know if I can take it back one day, Jian Wushuang muttered. It's just a Blaze Quicksand Gourd. It's not a big deal. The battlefield where you are is a huge treasure vault. As long as you have strong power, you can get whatever you want, Gu King responded, curling his lip. You're right, Jian Wushuang laughed. In fact, he did not attach much importance to it either. In the following days, Jian Wushuang still waited in the secret chamber. After a couple of days, the 5 palace masters finally intended to lay hands on Golden Axe Holy Master. Within Green Fire Palace, Golden Axe Holy Master stood in a hall alone. He looked calm on the outside, but in fact he was feeling slightly nervous. Jian Wushuang died not long ago. Why did Sunrise Sword Emperor summon me here? Golden Axe Holy Master was lost in thought. Did he find out anything about me? It's impossible. Golden Axe Holy Master shook his head and comforted himself. I left no traces. Besides, Jian Wushuang already died. No one will know that he told his location to me before his death. Even Jian Wushuang himself would have never thought that it was me who betrayed him, since at that time he must have been busy fleeing from the kings of the Jin Kingdom. Even if the palace masters of the Green Fire Palace had perceived something suspicious on Jian Wushuang's assassination, they would never have been able to connect his death to me. Golden Axe Holy Master thought confidently. After all, a dead man could not talk. Jian Wushuang is dead, and no one knew that he talked to me before his death. I'll never be suspected. However, Golden Axe Holy Master did not know that Jian Wushuang was still alive. A moment later, 2 figures entered the hall. Bai Feng Holy Master, Celestial Master Feng. Golden Axe Holy Master said smilingly. Golden Axe Holy Master. Bai Feng Holy Master and Celestial Master Feng greeted him cordially. Are you summoned here by Sunrise Sword Emperor as well? Golden Axe Holy Master asked. Yes, Bai Feng Holy Master and Celestial Master Feng nodded at the same time. Golden Axe Holy Master was relieved, a hint of joy flashing across his eyes. Sunrise Sword Emperor did not summon me here alone. He also invited Bai Feng Holy Master and Celestial Master Feng. It seems that he has met some problem in formation. He didn't summon us here because of Jian Wushuang, Golden Axe Holy Master thought with a sly smile on his face. Bai Feng Holy Master and Celestial Master Feng were good at formation, and so was Golden Axe Holy Master. After a while, Sunrise Sword Emperor entered the hall. Here you are. Sunrise Sword Emperor looked down at them as he said, You 3 are proficient in formation. That's why I summoned you here today. I cannot tell you details here. I'll explain to you when we arrive at the destination. Yes, Palace Master. The 3 nodded solemnly. The 3 holy masters followed Sunrise Sword Emperor and headed for the battlefield. The 4 of them spent several years reaching a virgin area. There was a mysterious place at the bottom of the cliffs, which was under the restriction. What's this? The 3 holy masters gazed at this place with confusion. Lately I have passed above the cliffs and discovered this secret land by chance, Sunrise Sword Emperor explained. Secret land? Golden Axe Holy Master, Bai Feng Holy Master and Celestial Master Feng were taken by great surprise. There were countless mysterious places on this vast battlefield, but only a few of them could be referred to as secret lands. Chapter 1158 Trap. Chapter 1158 Trap. A secret land. It's a secret land. Golden Axe Holy Master thought with surprise and excitement. The Green Fire Palace had been built on this battlefield 40 million years ago, and the experts of the palace had discovered only 3 secret lands since its foundation. The 3 secret lands full of occult had been of great help to the Green Fire Palace. For instance, Time's secret land could change the speed of time, and Sword Realm was a big fortune for sword principle cultivators. As for the Gene Kingdom, it had not occupied any secret land on this battlefield up till now. It was jealous of what the Green Fire Palace had, but it could not do anything except accept this fact. After all, the experts of the Gene Kingdom had migrated to this battlefield much later than those of the Green Fire Palace, and the discovery of a secret land relied upon time and opportunity. Now, Sunrise Sword Emperor claimed that he had found another secret land. The 3 Holy Master were astonished. "I'm fortunate to enter this secret land once. I just stayed inside it for one day, but I had a very great harvest. In my eyes, perhaps its value is less than that of our Time's secret land, but it is much more valuable than Sword Realm," Sunrise Sword Emperor said with a smile. "We Green Fire Palace must think of a plan to hold this amazing secret land. But now there's a restriction around the secret land. To occupy this land, we have to break the restriction. That's why I invited you here." After a pause, Sunrise Sword Emperor continued, "You 3 are formation masters. I hope you work together to break this restriction, and I'll have your back. Besides, this secret land is important to us. You must keep this secret land to yourselves before we entirely take it. Do you understand me?" "Yes, Palace Master." By Feng Holy Master and Celestial Master Feng nodded immediately. Golden Axe Holy Master agreed too. Now the excitement had overwhelmed him. God bless our Gene Kingdom. Sunrise Sword Emperor discovered the 4th secret land and asked me to help with breaking the restriction. Most importantly, only Sunrise Sword Emperor is here. The Green Fire Palace has only 5 Palace Masters in total, and they perform their respective duties. If all of them had flocked here, they would have alerted the Gene Kingdom and this place would have been exposed soon. That's why Sunrise Sword Emperor took us here to break the restriction. In this way, they can hold this secret land privately. What a perfect plan. However, you're doomed to fail. This secret land is bound to be the Gene Kingdom's property. As for Sunrise Sword Emperor, he's likely to be the leader of the Green Fire Palace. We have been planning to take his life all this time, and now we finally get a perfect opportunity. Golden Axe Holy Master thought as a hint of ferocity flashed across his eyes. The next moment he secretly sent the news to the experts of the Gene Kingdom. When the high-ranking experts of the Gene Kingdom received the news, they were overjoyed and wasted no time sending experts to the secret land. "Let's get started," Sunrise Sword Emperor ordered. Golden Axe Holy Master and the other 2 Holy Masters walked up to the entrance of the secret land and began to work on the restriction, but Golden Axe Holy Master just pretended to do so. He did not know that the other Palace Masters of the Green Fire Palace were keeping a close watch on him. This place covered by the restriction was not a secret land at all. In fact, it was a trap that the Green Fire Palace had set a long time ago. At this moment, Samsara Temple Master, Void Temple Master and Red Lotus gathered in a palace in the center of the restriction. They utilized this palace to hide their aura. Meanwhile, they observed what was happening outside the palace. If everything goes smoothly, the Gene Kingdom must have received the news by now, and their experts will arrive here soon. Void Temple Master sneered. "I selected this area on purpose. This place is not far from an opportunity land with space wormhole, and that land is under the Gene Kingdom's control. It'll take the experts of the Gene Kingdom just a couple of days to reach here," Red Lotus said in a cold voice. "We just need to wait here. Once those experts arrive, we'll give them a big surprise and expose Golden Axe's identity by the way," Samsara Temple Master said with a strong killing intent. They had planned to not only reveal Golden Axe's identity but most importantly give a blow to the Gene Kingdom. The 4 Palace Masters would work together to eliminate the experts from the Gene Kingdom when they broke into this trap. Not to arouse Golden Axe's suspicion, they had brought Holy Master Bai Feng and Celestial Master Feng here. The two Holy Masters were ignorant of their plan, but they could be trusted. They could never be spies of the Jin Kingdom. They were elders who had lived for tens of millions of years and joined the Green Fire Palace long before the Jin Kingdom had moved here. Several days later, experts of the Jin Kingdom arrived. What happened next went as the Green Fire Palace had planned. The experts of the Jin Kingdom broke into the restriction as they had been told that there was a secret land under it. As soon as they entered the place, they were ambushed. As four palace masters took action together, these experts suffered a great loss. Jian Wushuang and Tang Emperor were sitting inside a secret chamber of the Green Fire Palace. They were drinking their tea and waiting for the results. After a while, they received a message from Samsara Temple Master. My guess is right. Golden Axe Holy Master is a spy of the Jin Kingdom. Jian Wushuang stood up, his eyes full of anger. I never believed that there's such a good-tempered man in the world. It's not surprising that he's a spy of the Jin Kingdom. Gu King snorted inside Jian Wushuang's body. Tang Emperor took a sip of his tea and said smilingly, last time when the four kings of the Jin Kingdom plotted to assassinate you, you managed to kill their Tianning King. Even Red Snow King has been missing since then. No one knew whether he's still alive. This time, we've not only tricked the Jin Kingdom into a trap but also killed one of their universe masters and badly hurt another too. Losing two universe masters within several decades is a blow even to the Jin Kingdom, said Jian Wushuang. Of course it is. Boy, it's all your credit, said Tang Emperor. Well, Jian Wushuang smiled, for he did not dare to take this credit. Now the four palace masters are on their way back. Besides, they haven't killed Golden Axe. They've taken him alive. Do you want to meet him when they come back? Tang Emperor asked. Yes, replied Jian Wushuang. With the fury in his eyes, he continued coldly, a man who concealed his real identity for years pretended to be a good man and made me lose an original body. Of course, I have to meet him. Tang Emperor furrowed his brows. The four palace masters brought Golden Axe Holy Master back to Green Fire Palace soon. Chapter 1159, Returning to Firmament Territory. Chapter 1159, Returning to Firmament Territory. In the dim palace, Golden Axe Holy Master stood there, looking deadly pale and trembling violently. It's impossible. It can't be. How did they discover my real identity? Why did they set me up? Golden Axe Holy Master thought and then shook his head, finding it very hard to accept the truth. He could not figure out why the Green Fire Palace suspected him. Upon Jian Wushuang's death, no one was supposed to know that Jian Wushuang had told him his location. Golden Axe. With an indifferent voice sounding, Sunrise Sword Emperor appeared in front of Golden Axe Holy Master. Aren't you confused, shocked now? Sunrise Sword Emperor asked, giving Golden Axe Holy Master a cold glance. He continued in a deep voice, to be honest, you've remained so well hidden in the Green Fire Palace that even our late palace masters never doubted you. But this time, you cannot deny your real identity anymore. Someone wanted to meet you. When you see him, your doubts will be dispersed. As soon as Sunrise Sword Emperor finished his words, a figure arrived suddenly and showed up in front of Golden Axe Holy Master. Golden Axe Holy Master, long time no see. Jian Wushuang said with a sly smile on his face. It's you. Golden Axe Holy Master yelled with his eyes widely open, as if he had seen a ghost. It's not real. You died, didn't you? Red Snow King and the other kings watched you die. The news about your death has been spread in the Green Fire Palace, Golden Axe Holy Master howled. His howls reverberated throughout the whole palace. The palace itself was a treasure. Golden Axe Holy Master's voice could not be heard outside the palace. In the meantime, he could not pass messages to others. Of course you wanted me dead, so did the Jin Kingdom you serve. Unfortunately, I let you down, Jian Wushuang said with a sniff. As for the news of my death, the 5 palace masters had disseminated it on purpose to fool you and the Jin Kingdom. Did Green Fire Palace use you as a bait? Golden Axe Holy Master asked, staring at Jian Wushuang. Clever. Jian Wushuang grinned. No, no. Golden Axe Holy Master roared hysterically, shaking his head madly. At this moment he was desperately eager to inform the Jin Kingdom and its experts that Jian Wushuang was still alive. That monster did not die. In his eyes, Jian Wushuang would be the leader of Green Fire Palace in the near future, which would be the Jin Kingdom's nightmare. Golden Axe Holy Master longed to fill the Jin Kingdom in so that they could think of some plan to kill Jian Wushuang, even at all costs. However, he had no means to tell them. The Jin Kingdom was doomed to be kept in the dark. Golden Axe Holy Master seemed to have foreseen the scene. Jian Wushuang was qualified to be the leader of Green Fire Palace years later. He joined the final battle between the Jin Kingdom and the Green Fire Palace and caused massive casualties to the Jin Kingdom. That was a catastrophe for the Jin Kingdom. Jian Wushuang, what do you want me to do with Golden Axe Holy Master? Sunrise Sword Emperor asked. Of course, execute him directly, Jian Wushuang answered. I see. Sunrise Sword Emperor nodded and then swished his hand to summon a flash of sword essence which directly attacked the center of Golden Axe Holy Master's forehead. Golden Axe Holy Master had been limited by a restriction, so he had no strength to defend himself. Soon he closed his eyes, and his breath vanished. After Golden Axe Holy Master had died, Jian Wushuang had nothing to do in the Green Fire Palace. Escorted by Void Temple Master, he left Green Fire Palace privately and returned to Green Fire World. Green Fire World was divided into 2 continents, and Void Continent was on top. Jian Wushuang, take care of yourself. You can deal with your personal matters. Keep a low profile and do not expose your identity easily. If you meet any trouble that you're not convenient to solve in person, let me know directly, Void Temple Master said to him. I will, Jian Wushuang responded with a smile. Void Temple Master took leave. Jian Wushuang came to a small hall of Void Temple. Open the wormhole. I'm heading for Firmament Territory, Jian Wushuang said in a grave voice. Having observed Jian Wushuang for a while, a purple-robed servant in the palace responded, Sir, it's quite a long travel to Firmament Territory. Therefore, you need to pay a great number of divine gems. How many? Jian Wushuang asked. 1 billion, the purple-robed servant replied. Using a wormhole costs 1 billion divine gems, which is equal to all the property of a common Dalmater. Void Palace Master is a good businessman, Jian Wushuang thought with a smile. The next moment he took out a token. Open it now, Jian Wushuang continued. Yes, my lord. The purple-robed servant nodded with respect and left to open the wormhole. Jian Wushuang had gotten this token from Void Temple Master. In the whole Void Temple, only a few people possessed such tokens. With this token, Jian Wushuang could take wormhole without charge. Within a few seconds, the wormhole had gotten ready. My lord, this way please, the purple-robed servant said and stood respectfully beside Jian Wushuang. Got it? Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. He looked at the wormhole ahead of him, his eyes full of excitement and expectation. I've left Firmament Territory for long. It's time to go back. Jian Wushuang stepped into the wormhole. With a flash of light he disappeared. The next moment, he arrived at Firmament Territory. Although it was just a common realm in the Green Fire world, it boasted an enormous number of warriors. Jian Wushuang had left Firmament Territory alone about 2,000 years ago and now he finally returned to this territory. During those 2,000 years, there was no great change in the structure of the Firmament Territory. Among all the sects and powers in Firmament Territory, the 3 magnates still took the lead. 9 top sects including Ancient Sect served the 3 magnates. After Jian Wushuang came back to Firmament Territory, he visited the Ancient Sect first. After all, he had been a disciple of the Ancient Sect. As soon as he appeared in the void above the Ancient Sect, he spread his strength of soul and saw everything within the sect clearly. Jian Wushuang noticed a white-robed man who was standing on the top of a mountain with his hands behind him. The man had a kind, gentle air, and he was looking up at the void above with a smile. His gaze landed on the direction where Jian Wushuang stood. Shoo! Jian Wushuang took a leap and entered the world below. Chapter 1160 Visiting Xian Yi. Chapter 1160 Visiting Xian Yi. Jian Wushuang easily broke into the protective array of the ancient sect and then came to the white-robed man directly. Master, Jian Wushuang took a bow. Upon hearing this, the white-robed man who had stood there with his back toward Jian Wushuang a moment ago turned around slowly. This man was Jiang Wushuang's master, Xian Yi. You're back. Xian Yi observed Jian Wushuang and continued smiling. It seems that you're a Dao master now. You've made much faster progress than I imagined. I just had some luck, Jian Wushuang responded humbly. Jian Wushuang, is this really your mysterious master who gave you Mountain River map? Gu Qing's voice sounded inside Jian Wushuang. Yes, he is, Jian Wushuang replied to Gu Qing. What's going on? Gu Qing said in a confused voice. I'm incredibly adept at sensing and able to see through anyone in this realm. But somehow, I cannot sense your master's real strength. Really? Jian Wushuang frowned. I perceive that your master has only reached the eternal realm. But if he was just at the level of eternal realm, how could he give you a chaos divine treasure? How could he impart secret skills which could improve consciousness to you? Gu Qing said in a deep voice. Jian Wushuang also felt curious. His master Xian Yi had always been a mystery. Jian Wushuang had been ignorant of the real identity and strength of his master before, since he was too weak to sense them. He had expected to find out some clues to his master's identity and strength this time. Nevertheless, even Gu Qing failed to see through Xian Yi. Jian Wushuang exerted his strength of soul again but only found out that Xian Yi was a common eternal realm. It was uncertain whether Xian Yi had perceived Jian Wushuang's strength of soul. He still looked calm. As he swished his hand, a long narrow table emerged ahead of Jian Wushuang along with a mat behind him. My dear disciple, take a seat, said Xian Yi. Jian Wushuang sat at the long narrow table without smart talk. Did you get into any trouble outside? Why did you come back all of a sudden? Xian Yi asked. I didn't get into any trouble. I've left for long, so I wanted to come back and have a look around. By the way, fulfill some promise I made before, Jian Wushuang replied. What did you refer to? Xian Yi asked in confusion. Master, do you know when Eternal Zone will be opened? Jian Wushuang asked. Eternal Zone? Xian Yi was on alert. He glanced at Jian Wushuang and continued, Why did you ask that? I had stayed in Eternal Zone for 100 years. During that period of time, the ancient god clan in Eternal Zone had helped me a lot. When I took leave, I promised them to visit them again and help them with some matters, Jian Wushuang answered. When he had been in Eternal Zone, ancient god clan did give him much help. As he had bloodline of Imperial God Clan, the 3-star ancient god elder E of the ancient god clan had asked him to help them break seal of the holy place with his imperial bloodline. Jian Wushuang had promised to help him. Nevertheless, at that time, Jian Wushuang did not have enough powers to honor his promise to Elder Yi, so he left and promised to come back to help them thousands of years later. 2,000 years had passed. Now Jian Wushuang returned to live up to his words. There's no need for you to enter Eternal Zone. Even if you insist on going there, you cannot enter that place, Xian Yi said. Why? Jian Wushuang asked, frowning. Eternal Zone vanished 2,000 years ago, Xian Yi explained. What? Did you mean that it just disappeared? Jian Wushuang asked, taken by great surprise. How? Eternal Zone had existed in firmament territory for hundreds of thousands of years. How did it vanish suddenly? Was this King Gu Tong's doing? Jian Wushuang said, and his pupils constricted. Yes, King Gu Tong did this. Xian Yi continued with a smile. As you had stayed there for a while, you should have learnt that those ancient gods all believed in one king and they were subjects to him. But their king had disappeared one day suddenly, so they had come to firmament territory and sealed their holy place. In fact, King Gu Tong is their king. Are you saying that King Gu Tong is the king whom those ancient gods of Eternal Zone serve? Jian Wushuang was stunned. Jian Wushuang had assumed this possibility when King Gutong showed his powers 2,000 years ago. It seemed that his assumption was correct. Master, what's going on with King Gutong? Jian Wushuang asked. King Gutong suffered a disaster before, which almost took his life. Although he survived with luck, he was tormented by an evil, overwhelming power inside. Owing to that evil power, he failed to regain his full strength and he even began losing his life. Later he ran into me and we made a deal, Xianyi said with a laugh. A deal? Jian Wushuang muttered. I refined an elixir and helped him erasing that evil power, and then he owed me a debt. Since then, he had been staying here and waited for a chance to pay me back. 2,000 years ago, I asked him to help Tang of the East and told him that once he helped you win the battle, he owed me nothing. After returning my favor, he left with his eternal zone directly, Xianyi continued. I see, Jian Wushuang's doubts had vanished. He finally understood why King Gutong had been willing to take orders from others. Although he had not fully restored his strength, he was still a 7-star imperial god. As a top-notch expert, he was not likely to work for others easily. All he had done was to return Xianyi's favor. Since King Gutong took over Eternal Zone, the holy place of ancient god in Eternal Zone must have been opened. Now that King Gutong came back to those ancient gods, they do not need your help anymore, Xianyi said. Jian Wushuang shrugged his shoulders. He had intended to give Ancient God Clan a hand so as to fulfill his promise, but now it seemed that there was no need. King Gutong is a 7-star imperial god with immeasurable powers, but your master could refine an elixir to disperse the evil power that King Gutong failed to heal. Jian Wushuang, do you know what this means? Jian Wushuang heard Gu King's voice inside his head. What else does it mean? It proves that my master is good at refining elixir, Jian Wushuang replied jokingly. Of course, he was just joking. He had been thinking highly of his master all this time. Now he had an even higher opinion of his master than before. Chapter 1161, Returning to the Ancient World. Chapter 1161, Returning to the Ancient World. Jian Wushuang talked with Xianyi for quite a long while. They talked about the changes in the ancient sect over the 2,000 years and other trivial things. Their meeting lasted almost half a day, but during this period of time, Jian Wushuang had never inquired about Xianyi's real identity or background, nor had Xianyi unveiled them to him. Jian Wushuang did not want others to know that he was still alive. Therefore, he only visited his master and then left the ancient sect. Jian Wushuang, your master has a big secret, Gu King said in a serious tone. I know, Jian Wushuang nodded. In fact, he had discovered that a long time ago. If my assumption is correct, your master does not belong to this green fire world. He must be from the eternal chaotic world and is probably a big shot, a top-notch existence in the eternal chaotic world, Gu King continued. Are you sure? Jian Wushuang asked, furrowing his brows. Are you sure that my master Xianyi is a top-notch expert in the eternal chaotic world? It's just my guess. I'm not certain about this. Gu King went on, during my journey in the eternal chaotic world along with King Luozhen, I met a great many top experts, and some of them were full of mystery. However, your master is more unfathomable, mysterious than any expert I've met before. How come such an incredible expert was willing to stay within the green fire world? He even has kept a low profile, served as a palace master of a sect, and accepted several disciples. Why? What's his intention? Hearing this, Jian Wushuang wrinkled his forehead into a frown. Xianyi's real purpose. Jian Wushuang wondered cluelessly. In his eyes, Xianyi had always been a mysterious, easygoing and casual elder. Most importantly, Xianyi had treated his disciples very well. He had patiently instructed his several disciples including Jian Wushuang in cultivation and gifted them plenty of treasures. Although he had done so much for them, he had never asked them to pay back. Is he really selfless? Or does he think that my 3 senior brothers and I are still too weak to help him? Jian Wushuang thought to himself and then shook his head. Anyway, Master is my savior and I am willing to return his favor even if I need to sacrifice my life. I do not care what his aim is. As long as it does not infringe my principle or it is not evil, I will do my best to help him. Jian Wushuang said, a determined look in his eyes. Gu King stayed silent for a while and then said, take it easy. I can feel that your master treats you sincerely and he's unlikely to have the intention of utilizing you. If you're really determined to return his kindness, you should try your best to enhance your strength. Now you're not strong enough to pay him back. Jian Wushuang smiled bitterly. He was well aware of that. Although he had stood at the summit of Green Fire World, he still had a long way to go if he wanted to catch up with the top experts in the eternal chaotic world. If he wanted to be of some help to Xian Yi, he had to cultivate harder to improve his battle strength. Jian Wushuang, what's your plan? Are you going to head for Star Island? Gu King asked. Star Island? Jian Wushuang repeated to himself. That was where lineage of stars chose their disciples. Jian Wushuang had once been a disciple of Lineage of Stars. After passing the trials in the Black Tower on the Star Island, he had been freed from Star Island. However, plenty of people were still trapped there, and some of them were Jian Wushuang's good friends. Besides, Jian Wushuang had made a deal with Tao Master Kong Ming on Star Island. Kong Ming had given him a dragon phoenix fruit in exchange that he must return to Star Island in 100,000 years and try to pass the ultimate trial to set him free. Being a Tao Master now, Jian Wushuang was qualified to accept the ultimate trial on Star Island. I'll go to Star Island one day, but it can be postponed. Now that I've come back to Firmament Territory, I plan to have a look at my hometown, Jian Wushuang answered. You hometown? Do you refer to the ancient world? Gu King was stunned. Yeah, Jian Wushuang replied with a bright smile appearing on his face. He was from the ancient world. He was born and bred in the ancient world. He had been in his hometown for just dozens of years, while spending more than 2,000 years staying in Green Fire World. Despite that, Jian Wushuang still loved his hometown more. The ancient world is my root. I left there 2,000 years ago. I want to know what it looks like now. Is Sword Marquis Mansion still there? Jian Wushuang was eager to come back, clasping his hands. He took leave immediately. As a plain world, the ancient world was just a small part of the Green Fire World. To enter the Green Fire World, the warriors in the ancient world needed to break through a series of barriers and overcome lots of hardships. However, experts in Green Fire World could easily step into the ancient world. Jian Wushuang quickly found the way leading to the ancient world. There were countless ancient worlds and Jian Wushuang's homeland was one of them. It was called the Divine Land. The waves rolled up on and off above the sea, with the clear, blue sky reflecting in it. A void above the sea began to crack, and the cracks quickly extended and covered hundreds of miles, looking like a huge spider web. All of a sudden, it shattered and a huge space black hole emerged out of nothing. A red-robed figure slowly walked out of the black hole after its appearance. With the arrival of the figure, the black hole releasing terrifying devouring power began to shrink. Within a few seconds, it disappeared. The world fell silent again. Here I am, my ancient world. Jian Wushuang was floating on the surface of the sea. He closed his eyes and breathed the air around. He opened his eyes again after a long time, with a joyful smile on his face. I'm back. Come back. Jian Wushuang cried out with a delightful smile. He raised his hand and swished it gently. The surrounding void immediately broke into fragments, and then a crack which extended several thousands of kilometers turned up. The space of the ancient world is indeed delicate. Even one or two eternal realms can easily smash such a world. Jian Wushuang sighed secretly while shaking his head. Soon Jian Wushuang's strength of soul began to spread around the world. His strength of soul covered this world instantly without meeting any obstruction. Nanyang continent is over there. Chapter 1162 Jian Xiaoyao of Sword Marquis Mansion. Chapter 1162 Jian Xiaoyao of Sword Marquis Mansion. Tianzong dynasty was one of the many dynasties in the Nanyang continent. Small and weak as it was undoubtedly one of the most ancient dynasties in the continent. No one dared to look down on it. When it came to the dynasty, what most people would think of first was not their imperial house. Instead, it was a particular faction. That faction was Sword Marquis Mansion. Sword Marquis Mansion had existed for over 2,000 years. In the beginning, Sword Marquis Mansion was just a small force in Tianzong dynasty. It gradually became the overlord and now enjoyed higher prestige than the imperial house. It even saved the dynasty from hostile occupation 1,000 years ago. Sword Marquis Mansion left other factions and dynasties in the Nanyang continent in awe. It was said that Sword Marquis Mansion owed its prestige to its extraordinary founder born 2,000 years ago. The patriarch's insurmountable power and contributions to the mansion was a legend in itself. Bahui Commandery. The entire Bahui Commandery was now under the control of Sword Marquis Mansion. The base of Sword Marquis Mansion was located in its capital. It was a busy street full of people, making for a boisterous scene. Inside one of the taverns that lined the street, two warriors sitting opposite each other were chatting over food and drinks. Have you heard? Half a month ago, the genius from Sword Marquis Mansion joined the easternmost hunt and claimed the first place among all the talents from 10 dynasties. Rumor has it that this genius won with ease and didn't even use his full power. Of course, everyone has heard of it. He truly deserves his title as the top-notch genius of Sword Marquis Mansion. I remember that he's called Jian Xiaoyao. But if he's that strong, why isn't he on the earthly dragon list that Tianzong dynasty issues? Earthly dragon list? That list only focuses on Tianzong dynasty. It's not a big deal. I heard that Jian Xiaoyao made a name for himself in a large empire and even ranked first among the geniuses there. He's amazing. Of course, Sword Marquis Mansion is also powerful. Their geniuses are all excellent. No one overheard their conversation as the two of them occupied a private room. Yet, a scarlet-robed young man who was sipping wine by the window heard their conversation loud and clear. The liquor here isn't as good as those in the Green Fire world, but there's a unique taste to it. I like it, Jian Wushuang thought, smiling. Then he shouted, "Waiter, bring me 100 jars of this liquor." "Yes, sir," a waiter immediately replied. Jian Wushuang continued to savor the fine liquor, but his mind was busy pondering over the two warriors' words. Jian Xiaoyao, a genius from Sword Marquis Mansion? Since I left 2,000 years ago, I worried that it might have been destroyed. Not only has it survived, but it's becoming even more prosperous. It must be thanks to Uncle Xiao. Through his soul power, he had long detected that there was a puppet fighter inside a deeply hidden secret chamber inside Sword Marquis Mansion. It was a puppet fighter of the divine realm. It was undoubtedly a terrifying existence in the ancient world. It was unlikely that Sword Marquis Mansion acquired the puppet fighter on its own. It must be Emperor Zhao's doing. After all, Jian Wushuang had asked him to take care of Sword Marquis Mansion. The owner of the tavern, with several waiters following behind him with jars of liquor, walked up to Jian Wushuang. "Sir, here is the liquor you asked, 100 jars in total. Would you like to pay it with spiritual liquid or elixirs?" the owner asked, smiling. Jian Wushuang was stunned. It occurred to him that he had just arrived in the Nanyang continent and he did not keep any of the spiritual liquid or elixirs that were used as currencies here. Though he possessed plenty of treasures, they were from the Green Fire world. He did not know if the tavern owner would recognize them. Even if the tavern owner knew them, Jian Wushuang would not trade them for his liquor. Those treasures were so precious that any of them would bring the owner great trouble. "Could you excuse me for a moment? I'll pay the bill later." "Of course, I'll be leaving my sword as a pledge for the time being," Jian Wushuang said, handing the owner the Blood Mountain sword. But the owner furrowed his brows as he looked at the sword that Jian Wushuang had placed a layer of restriction on to seal its aura. He used his will to make the sword reveal a hint of its power. Even the faint hint of power frightened the owner. The owner immediately said, "Sir, there's no need to pledge your sword. Just take the liquor." "Oh, Jian Wushuang raised an eyebrow. Well, thanks. Don't worry. Someone will come here and pay for my liquor soon. He waved his hand and the liquor disappeared. He then excused himself with a smile. The owner heaved a sigh of relief after watching him leave. Boss, is that lad an expert? Why did you let him go without taking his sword? A waiter asked in a whisper. Expert. The owner replied, narrowing his eyes. You're right. He is an expert, a genuine one. He must be in the primordial gold core or yin-yang void realm at least. I'm sure about this. But why would such a top-notch expert fail to pay for his liquor? Confused as the owner was, he did not give much thought to this. However, he was clueless to the fact that the young man was tens of thousands times stronger than he had imagined. Jian Wushuang walked toward Sword Marquee Mansion after leaving the tavern. Jian Wushuang, you're really something to even attempt leaving your Blood Mountain sword behind as a pledge for your bill. If your master finds out, he would probably die of anger, Gu King joked. Jian Wushuang laughed cheerfully. Well, the situation called for it. Just then, a group of people riding wildebeest beasts appeared at the end of the street and slowly strode toward him. A grim-faced young man was in the middle of the group. Young as he looked, his eyes were exceptionally sharp. He had evidently undergone lots of ordeals and troubles. He carried a long sword on his back. Jian Wushuang recognized that long sword at once. Triple kill sword? Looks like he's that incredible genius from Sword Marquee Mansion. Chapter 1163 Blind Old Man. Chapter 1163 Blind Old Man. Triple kill sword was extremely important to Sword Marquee Mansion. Jian Wushuang recognized it at once even though the one in the grim-faced young man's hand was reforged. Looks like I found someone to pay for my liquor. Jian Wushuang grinned. He then walked up to the young man. The moment he took the first step, he morphed into someone else. His scarlet robe was replaced with a rugged sackcloth. He turned into a white-haired and blind old man wearing a pair of torn straw sandals. He disguised himself as a lonely and blind old man walking on the street alone with a bamboo stick in hand. The sound of hooves of the wildebeest beasts became louder as the group of people neared. The pedestrians made way for them except Jian Wushuang. He slowly walked toward the group as if he did not hear anything. Soon the group caught sight of the blind old man. The disciples riding the wildebeest beasts belonged to the younger generation of Sword Marquee Mansion. Several of them showed their anger when they saw an old blind man getting in their way. Blind old man, did you lose your hearing as well as your vision? Get out of the way or our wildebeest beasts will stomp on you and turn you into a meat pie, a green-robed girl next to Jian Xiaoyao said arrogantly. Oh! The blind old man raised his head with a calm look as he came to a standstill. Do you want to die? Move. She took a long whip from the waist of her wildebeest beast and swung it at the old man. Perhaps the blind old man was in luck. He happened to move to the side and thus dodged her whip. What? The girl's eyes burned with fury. She was about to swing her whip again. Stop! The grim-faced young man's deep and reproachful voice resounded. But the girl in green turned to look at Jian Xiaoyao. Give him some money and ask him to leave, Jian Xiaoyao said. You want me to go? The girl appeared deeply unhappy. Hurry up and do it. Jian Xiaoyao's voice turned cold. The girl dared not to disobey his order. She climbed down from her wild beast and walked up to the blind old man. Come on. I'll take you aside, the girl said impatiently. She subconsciously placed her hand on the old man's shoulder. The blind old man snorted. Which family are you from, little girl? How can you speak to an elder in such a rude manner? Today I'll teach you a lesson in your elder's stead. He raised his bamboo stick and swiped the girl. The old man's action appeared so casual that everyone thought that he was just brandishing the stick as he lectured the girl. Even a smart kid would be able to dodge the stick, never mind the green-robed girl. She was a warrior in the spiritual sea realm. It would almost be too easy for her to do so. However, thwack! The bamboo stick hit her on the butt without facing any obstacle whatsoever. The girl could feel the scorching pain on her butt. She instantly flew into a rage. "You old bastard, I'm going to kill you," she screamed furiously. "How disobedient. I'll hit you again." The old man once again brandished his stick. Thwack! The girl took another blow on the same place, making her face turn even redder. This time, however, she reacted calmly. She stared at the blind old man, somewhat stupefied. The others were also looking at him with astonishment. Perhaps it was a coincidence that the girl failed to evade the old man's first blow. It was another story now that she had been hit twice. This blind old man. Surprise took hold of the disciples of Sword Marquee Mansion that were riding their wildebeest beasts. Jian Xiaoyao then got off his wildebeest beast and came up to the blind old man. Jian Xiaoyao apologized to the old man with a sincere, humble attitude. "Please forgive my cousin, for she didn't mean to offend you. She's still young." Unlike the green-robed girl and other disciples of Sword Marquee Mansion, his abundant experience taught him to never judge a book by its cover. The old man's 2 successive attacks might look simple, but they had successfully hit their target. He knew that he could not belittle this old man. Instead of moving out of the way of a blind old man walking down the street, "You made your cousin ask me to leave. You deserve to be punished as well," the old man said, pretending to be unreasonable. He waved his bamboo stick again. He made a simple strike in the manner of a mother punishing her child. Jian Xiaoyao stared at the stick in alarm and moved out of the way before the old man moved the stick. Thwack! Jian Xiaoyao was forced to squat. His eyes were full of shock. The crowd was dumbfounded. The green-robed girl was a weak 14-year-old. However, Jian Xiaoyao was the genius of Sword Marquee Mansion who had just won the first prize in the easternmost hunt. He was the strongest among the experts of the younger generation of the 10 dynasties. It was a shock that he suffered a blow as well. "Boy, are you unhappy with the result? You can come and try it again." The old man waved at Jian Xiaoyao with a sly smile on his face. "Elder, please advise me," Jian Xiaoyao said with a serious expression. Instead of anger, his eyes were filled with strong excitement. The triple kill sword appeared in Jian Xiaoyao's hand. Jian Wushuang took a deep breath. Jian Xiaoyao brandished his sword. The sword moved as slickly as if it was a spiritual snake slithering through the void. How fast? Too fast. Is this the true strength of the champion of the easternmost hunt? The warriors could not help exclaiming when they saw Jian Xiaoyao's performance. But all of a sudden, thwack! The triple kill sword flew out of Jian Xiaoyao's hands. The seemingly powerless bamboo stick struck him, and he felt a stinging pain. How is this possible? Jian Xiaoyao was stupefied. He didn't use his spiritual power at all. His power is as weak as that of an ordinary human, and his attack is excruciatingly slow too. How did I end up losing? Even as Jian Xiaoyao doubted himself, the excitement in his eyes became stronger and stronger. Chapter 1164, One Strike. Chapter 1164, One Strike. Senior, please advise me again. Jian Xiaoyao had already picked up his triple kill sword. He stared at the blind old man, his eyes full of great passion and delight. "Oh!" The old man smiled as he nodded. Jian Xiaoyao drew out his sword again. His movement was exceedingly fast and powerful, unleashing a torrent of spiritual power that formed a whirlpool. "It's the traceless sword skill of Sword Marquee Mansion," someone exclaimed. The old man swung his bamboo stick. Thwack! Jian Xiaoyao's triple kill sword was thrown into the air again. "Strike again, senior." Jian Xiaoyao was not discouraged in the least. He picked up the triple kill sword from the ground again and continued to thrust his sword at the old man. What a crafty strike! It looks like a viper. Thwack! The triple kill sword fell to the ground. That's the Blood Moon sword skill of Sword Marquee Mansion. Thwack! The triple kill sword fell to the ground. That's Jian Xiaoyao's most powerful attack. Thwack! The triple kill sword ended up on the ground again. Jian Xiaoyao launched a series of attacks, going all out with each. Even so, the blind old man continued to brandish his bamboo stick and toss Jian Xiaoyao's sword into the air over and over again. What astonished the crowd most was that the old man's movement appeared slow and his blows weak. However, Jian Xiaoyao failed to withstand his attacks. Jian Xiaoyao had used more than 10 sword skills throughout the dozen rounds of their fight but ended up losing his sword each time. The outcome was the same even after so many times. The onlookers were all thoroughly dumbfounded. No one had any doubt that this powerless-looking old man harbored an unpredictable strength. Whoosh! Jian Xiaoyao took a deep breath before looking at the blind old man with a serious look. Under everyone's watchful eyes, he kowtowed to the old man. "I'm Jian Xiaoyao. I implore you to take me as your disciple and teach me swordsmanship." Disciple? The genius of Sword Marquis Mansion wants to make this blind old man his master. He's the great genius who won the easternmost hunt. It's rumored that many experts in the Yang Void realm and Divine Transcendence realm wanted him as a disciple, but he had refused them all. But he's now asking to be this old man's disciple? Jian Xiaoyao's actions stirred heated discussions among the people on the street. That old man shook his head when he saw Jian Xiaoyao kneeling before him. "I'm not an expert. I'm not qualified to be your master. Speaking of swordsmanship, I know just one move which I use to punish my grandson. He's a troublemaker and I hit his butt when he makes trouble. Are you willing to learn that?" The crowd was confused. Punish his grandson? He's going to teach a technique to hit a child's butt? Yes. Jian Xiaoyao kept nodding, his eyes filled with delight and desire. "Fine. I'll then impart this to you." The blind old man took a step forward and stopped in front of Jian Xiaoyao. He raised his wrinkled hand and pointed at Jian Xiaoyao's midbrows. Then he turned around and left. Before leaving, he left a string of words. "I owe the Red Sun Tavern some money. Go there and pay my bills off. That's your tuition fee." Jian Xiaoyao's eyes were wide open. The scene of the old man brandishing his stick appeared in his mind, giving him a close look at the move that the old man used. Common as it appeared, it was a terrifying show of swordsmanship. It was not until now that Jian Xiaoyao realized this. The reason he even thought that the old man's strike was common was that he was weak and his realm was still too low. This is an opportunity, a golden opportunity. Jian Xiaoyao clenched his hands as he trembled with delight. He then left for the Red Sun Tavern and paid for the blind old man's liquor. Meanwhile, there were two figures hovering side by side above the street. One was an elegant woman dressed in a black robe, and the other was a middle-aged man in a splendid silver robe. The man emanated an air of majesty. Both of them had been around to witness how the blind old man taught Jian Xiaoyao a lesson. "Upper Elder, what do you think of this?" the middle-aged man asked, looking concerned. "He's strong," the elegant woman replied with a serious look. He didn't use his spiritual power or other special powers in his attacks but still effortlessly tossed Jian Xiaoyao's sword to the ground with technique alone. "But I can't see anything special about his strike," she added. She furrowed her brows. It was impossible for an attack, imbued with the strength of an ordinary human, capable of repeatedly unarming Jian Xiaoyao to be ordinary. This could only prove that her realm was still too low. "Where's the old man?" The middle-aged man looked down at the street with a surprised expression. They had been keeping an eye on the blind old man all along, but in the blink of an eye, he had disappeared. Suddenly, a gentle voice came from behind them. "Looking for me?" "What?" Both the elegant woman and the middle-aged man were taken aback. The man was evidently less than a meter away from them, but they did not even know since when he had been standing there. How did both of them fail to notice his arrival? Swish! Swish! When they turned around, they saw the blind old man standing there with a smile on his face and a stick in his hand. He was less than a meter away from them. "You," the elegant woman uttered. "You youngsters should get a taste of my stick too," the old man said as he brandished his stick. His sudden attack shocked them both. They never expected the old man to target them. They had been watching all along, never stepping in even when he was teaching their disciples a lesson. How did they somehow piss off the old man? Surprised as they were, they did not forget to defend themselves. However, thwack, thwack. The old man used the stick to knock their weapons out of their hands and hit them without stopping. Their bodies sank downward with the force of his attacks. They continued to crash until they landed near the street. The two of them appeared to be in a miserable condition. Chapter 1165 Old Acquaintances. Chapter 1165 Old Acquaintances. Damn it. Both the elegant woman and the middle-aged man were furious. With their distinguished statuses, they had always stood high above the masses. It was difficult for normal people to even see them. Now, the old man had beat them up so badly that they fell near such a crowded street. What? The elegant woman's expression underwent a drastic change. She lowered her head to look at the crowded street below. She was now hovering in the air and stood less than 10 meters above ground. Most people could see her if they just lifted their heads. To her surprise, the woman discovered that everyone on the street was so preoccupied with their affairs that they did not notice her. The crowd ignored her as if she was air. It was as if they were in another world. What's happening? The middle-aged man's eyes widened when he noticed the same. We're right here above the street, but no one noticed us even after all that commotion. What did he do? The elegant woman was dumbfounded. She knew that the pedestrians were neither deaf nor blind. The only possible explanation was that the blind old man had used some powerful skill to temporarily silence their hearing and eyesight. That was why the crowd did not notice them. What an incredible skill! She took a deep breath. She came to realize that she had come across an incredibly formidable expert. You're those youngsters' elders, aren't you? The old man asked coldly as he stood there. The elegant woman and the middle-aged man finally responded after some hesitation. I'm Jian Yu, the upper elder of Sword Marquee Mansion. I'm Jian Hua, Sword Marquee of Sword Marquee Mansion. Nice to meet you. So one of you is the upper elder and the other is the Sword Marquee. The blind old man smiled. He pointed at Jian Yu and said, You look like my old friend from Sword Marquee Mansion. Do you know her? May I know her name? Jian Yu asked. Jian Menger, the blind old man answered. Jian Menger? Jian Yu was stunned and a hint of terror flitted across her pupils. She was my great-grandmother who passed away 2,000 years ago. Senior, are you really her old friend? Emotions surged wildly in Jian Yu and Jian Hua. Jian Menger had been one of the most powerful figures in the history of Sword Marquee Mansion. She was also acquainted with the incredible founder of Sword Marquee Mansion, Jian Wushuang. When he disappeared, Jian Menger had managed Sword Marquee Mansion on her own. Though she had been decently talented, the peak of the Yang Void Realm was all she could achieve. Since she had not reached the Saint Realm, she lived mere hundreds of years. It had been over 2,000 years since her death. But this blind old man had introduced himself as Jian Menger's old acquaintance. This man is an old monster who's the same age as my great-grandmother? Jian Yu was in shock. Old monster? That was true. Jian Wushuang was considered a youngster with a short cultivation age over in the Green Fire world. But over in the ancient world, a man more than 2,000 years old was undoubtedly an old monster. Your great-grandma and I were old friends. Today, I happened to run into some arrogant juniors from Sword Marquee Mansion. The old man snorted. Sword Marquee Mansion might be influential in the Nanyang continent now, but don't you forget that there are countless experts in this world who are capable of destroying Sword Marquee Mansion. I advise you to keep a low profile or you might end up offending some tough enemy. Moreover, you elders should be monitoring your juniors' behavior. You can't let them bully others in the name of Sword Marquee Mansion. Most importantly, never forget your past suffering. Don't forget that Sword Marquee Mansion was weak once. It owes its influence and prestige today to all its past hardships. Us members of Sword Marquee Mansion will bear your words in mind, Jian Yu replied respectfully. Well, that's quite enough. Those words just came to mind. The blind old man waved his hand. Besides, I have a manual of swordsmanship with me. Now it's yours. You can discuss how to utilize it. He threw a token and then vanished. Jian Yu and Jian Hua looked at each other in confusion. Upper Elder, who was that? Jian Hua asked, frowning. I have no idea. Jian Yu shook her head. He looks like a good man who bears no malice towards Sword Marquis Mansion. Besides, he left us a manual. His words and actions show his dissatisfaction with our current situation. It seems that he's disappointed with us. Is he really my great-grandmother's acquaintance? Perhaps. But he reminded me that our rising influence in the Nanyang continent in recent years has attracted the attention of many forces. Moreover, it's true that our juniors are increasingly unruly, the middle-aged man said. One of our clansmen had recently slaughtered a faction of Tianzong dynasty with his men for a woman's sake, but our elders merely turned a blind eye to this. One of our geniuses assassinated a talent with a higher ranking on the earthly dragon list. What the hell are they doing? Why didn't you bring this up before? Jian Yu asked in a reproachful tone, her eyes turning razor-sharp. I only found out a couple of days ago. Sword Marquis Mansion seems strong and united on the surface, but it has been divided into many clans fighting for their own benefits. Though I'm the Sword Marquis, I'm incapable of changing this situation on my own. After all, I have to balance these clans. Those useless fools. Jian Yu's voice was terribly cold. That elder is right. We've been comfortable for so long that many of us have forgotten how we had struggled to become stronger. It seems that we should start cleaning up our act. It's time for those elders to learn a lesson or two. I'm too weak to achieve this myself, but it's possible with your support, Jian Hua replied. Chapter 1166, Wushuang Sword Pavilion. Chapter 1166, Wushuang Sword Pavilion. Then just go for it. We owe our current position to our great ancestor. Without him, Sword Marquis Mansion would have perished a long time ago. He had tried so hard to lay the foundation for us. We can't let those pests ruin his efforts. Jian Yu clenched her hands, her eyes flashing with firm determination. Oh right, the elder left us a manual. She stared at the token in her hand. She allowed her consciousness to enter the token. Then, all of a sudden, her eyes opened wide. Terrifying. What a terrifying swordsmanship. Do you mean the manual that the elder gave us? He knows such terrifying swordsmanship and used such amazing skills. Who is he? He can't be great-grandmother's old acquaintance. Her great-grandmother had merely reached the peak of the Yang Void realm and had not befriended any high-standing individuals. Yet that blind old man had called himself her old friend. If he knew great-grandmother, why did he only return after 2,000 years? Moreover, if he was just a friend, he had no reason to care about Sword Marquis Mansion. He had been so disappointed earlier. He's not my great-grandmother's old acquaintance. I think he has a close connection to Sword Marquis Mansion. Perhaps he's one of our ancestors. Our ancestor? Jian Yu was stunned. Is he our patriarch? Their founder was a legend in the history of Sword Marquis Mansion. That's him. He's undoubtedly our patriarch. Jian Yu exclaimed with excitement. Our patriarch's disappearance back then was a mystery. Some suggested that he didn't die but left for a vast world to pursue higher cultivation. He must have returned from that world. He showed up to teach us a lesson after noticing our internal corruption. He intended to enlighten us. Patriarch. He's our patriarch. Jian Yu was thrilled. It took her a while to calm down and she grasped the token tightly. From now on, the swordsmanship inside this token is the most precious treasure in Sword Marquis Mansion. Only the most talented is qualified to learn it, and he must take a blood oath to never impart it to others. Whoever breaks the oath will be disposed of as a traitor. Jian Wushuang returned to his own appearance after reappearing in the void. He took slow steps, but the span of each step covered thousands of miles. Why did you pretend to be a blind old man to teach your juniors a lesson instead of revealing your identity? Gu King asked. Reveal my identity? Jian Wushuang shook his head. Before setting foot in the Nanyang continent, he had intended to reunite with his juniors of Sword Marquee Mansion as himself. However, he changed his mind after walking into the tavern outside Sword Marquee Mansion. He had spent half a day staying there, and while he drank alone, his soul power had already covered the whole city. He had heard many conversations between warriors as well as between commoners. Certain conversations taking place in private quarters were particularly eye-opening. It was not until he heard these conversations that he realized how bad the corruption and disunity in the current Sword Marquee Mansion had become. Factions are formed and fellow clansmen plot against one another. In the fight for more interests, some even lay hands on another in private. Most disciples of the younger generation are snobs who bully others without concern for consequences, Jian Wushuang said with a grim expression. They're conceited and fearless even without me around. Won't they become even more audacious if I reappear in public, thinking that I have their backs? He did not want to see the current situation in Sword Marquee Mansion. He had shown up to punish junior disciples and even two elders, Jian Yu and Jian Hua, as a warning for them to keep a low profile and realize the crisis within Sword Marquee Mansion. I've done all that I should do. The future of Sword Marquee Mansion is up to them now, Jian Wushuang murmured. He had done more than enough, be it doling out advice or punishment. He had no intention of interfering with the development of Sword Marquee Mansion. In fact, he did not even mind its decline, as long as it could be inherited from generation to generation. After all, he could not stay here and guard Sword Marquee Mansion forever. What's your next move? Gu King asked. Let's head for the Divine Land now. I'm worried that girl can't hang on any longer, Jian Wushuang answered with a smile. A girl? Does she have anything to do with you? Gu King asked. You'll know when we arrive there. Jian Wushuang continued his journey at full speed. It did not take him long to reach the Divine Land from the Nanyang continent without even taking the wormhole. The Divine Land was the core of this realm. The ancient world was under its control. Back when Jian Wushuang first roamed the Divine Land, there were 3 ancestors, 9 sovereigns, and 72 marquises here. These were all top figures of the Divine Land. However, it had been 2,000 years. Things had changed a lot, as did the layout of the Divine Land. Now, 4 influential factions ruled over the Divine Land. The 4 forces were under the leadership of 4 overlords. One of them was called Wushuang Sword Pavilion. Wushuang Sword Pavilion appeared 2,000 years ago. Its founder was a woman named Lin Lan. Lin Lan used to be one of the 72 marquises. Her cultivation speed had been fast but not impressive. But later, she made great progress and entered the skyscraping realm within 100 years. Since then, she was one of the most powerful experts in the ancient world. The warriors of the Divine Land respectfully called her Queen Lanyue. Under her leadership, Wushuang Sword Pavilion had existed in harmony with the other factions in the Divine Land for the past 2,000 years. However, in recent years, Wushuang Sword Pavilion had turned against Spirit Palace, one of the 4 overlords. Both parties had descended into endless ferocious fights. In the beginning, the 2 overlords had been evenly matched. But later, Wushuang Sword Pavilion was soon placed at a disadvantage. Today, Spirit Palace had directly broken into their stronghold. Wushuang Sword Pavilion was located on a vast land among the giant mountains. Bang! 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 Deafening explosions resounded in succession, the sound reverberating throughout the mountains. The whole Wushuang Sword Pavilion had fallen into a state of manic slaughter. Chapter 1167, Queen Lanyue. Chapter 1167, Queen Lanyue. Oh, Lin Lan, or should I call you the famous Queen Lanyue? I said that one day, I will completely wipe out your Wushuang Sword Pavilion and make you mine. Today, you can't run, can you? A tall, bald man was waving his big axe and laughing wildly. His opponent was a glamorous and beautiful woman. This woman had a perfect body and face, and most importantly, a very noble and incomparable temperament. Queen Lanyue was crowned the female emperor because she had always held a high status. For more than 2,000 years, her Wushuang sword pavilion had never been touched. Her title of the female emperor was well-deserved. "Well, you're not qualified to mess with me yet." The voice of Queen Lanyue was cold and fierce. With an air of majesty, she swept her long sword and broke out her full strength of skyscraping realm. There were many strong players on the field, but no one could confront her. Even the talkative bald man who was the palace master of Spirit Palace in Skyscraping Realm had to admit that Queen Lanyue was definitely much better than him. I can't touch you, but someone can and will." The bald man laughed and looked at Void next to him. "Master Kong, it's your turn." "Master Kong?" Queen Lanyue's eyes narrowed. The bald man was in the Skyscraping Realm and could beat all of the Divine Land experts. Who was qualified to make him respectfully call Master? Soon she saw Master Kong. It turned out to be a chubby elder who had a pair of eyes as small as those of mouses. This chubby old man slowly walked over and soon appeared in front of Queen Lanyue. "Is she Queen Lanyue?" The chubby old man looked Queen Lanyue as if she had been an ant. "That's her," the bald man respectfully said. Queen Lanyue looked grave. Normally, with her strength in ancient world, no one should be able to fear her. However, when the chubby old man appeared in front of her, she had an instinct feeling of terror and even pictured herself losing the battle. This chubby old man stood there, and Queen Lanyue did not even have the courage to fight back. "Who are you?" She clenched her teeth, suppressed her fear hard, and shouted. "I'm Kong Ming." The chubby old man spoke. Queen Lanyue's heart sank. She never heard of a formidable expert called Kong Ming, not only on Divine Land but also in other ancient worlds. The horror that this Kong Ming brought to her. "You are from the Eternal World?" Queen Lanyue asked coldly. "You are not stupid." The chubby old man smiled and confessed. "I heard that you have been collecting the Ancient World tokens for many years. You want to go to the Eternal World, right? In addition, I also heard from the place master of Spirit Palace that you have a master. Your Wushuang sword pavilion is named after him. Your master is said to have gone to Eternal World by Ancient World tokens more than 2,000 years ago. If I'm right, you want to go to Eternal World to find your master, right? What a good apprentice. Unfortunately, you misunderstand the Eternal World. Your master might be something in the Ancient World, but once he reaches the Eternal World, he will find that he is just a cockroach. In the Eternal World, there are a lot of people stronger than him. He went to the Eternal World alone, and I'm afraid that he would have died long ago." Upon hearing this, Queen Lanyue clenched her teeth and suppressed her anger. She respected her master most in her entire life. Her master reinvented her. She attributed her current achievements entirely to her master Jian Wushuang. In her heart, her master was the same as God. Thus, even when she created her own force, she named it after her master. In recent years, as the Firmament Territory Feast was about to open again, she had desperately collected the Ancient World tokens only to keep up with the pace of her master. Now, when she heard such nonsense, she would naturally turn furious. At this time, Kong Ming spoke once again. "Since you really want to go to the Eternal World, I can help you. From today, you will be with me and serve me. If you do a great job, when I recover, I'll take you to the Eternal World, and even find your master. How about that?" Hearing this, Queen Lanyue was even more angered. "But this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Are you reluctant?" Kong Ming smirked. "Master Kong?" The Spirit Palace master frowned. He also longed for a woman like Queen Lanyue. Who in the world did not want to conquer a peerless woman like her? Do you have a problem with that? Kong Ming peeked sideways at the Spirit Palace master. "No, I don't." The Spirit Palace master shook his head fearfully. "Well, you just follow my orders and make preparations in time so that I can quickly recover. I'll get everything you want, but if you can't help me, you have to die either." Kong Ming scolded. "Yes, my lord." The Spirit Palace master nodded in a row, in fear that Master Kong would be unhappy. He knew very clearly that this Master Kong, despite being seriously injured and lesser than his usual strength, could still kill him like an ant. Queen Lanyue, I'm not that patient. Do you really want to give away this opportunity? Kong Ming glimpsed her one more time. You want me to serve you? You wish. Queen Lanyue shouted coldly. Oh, you're not willing to? Kong Ming cocked one eyebrow and smiled coolly. Then I'll have to do it the hard way. Finishing his words, he waved his hand and summoned a huge palm. The giant hand appeared, and the whole world shook. The surrounding void cracked, huge space rifts appear, and all the engaged people in Wushuang Sword Pavilion stopped and fled. In moments, the giant hand approached Queen Lanyue. Chapter 1168, I Am Her Master. Chapter 1168, I Am Her Master. Queen Lanyue's teeth were gritted, and her body was shaking. Watching the giant hand approaching her, she desperately wanted to resist. But she found herself unable to move. Is this the end? Queen Lanyue muttered, showing a desperate look. Suddenly, the rushing huge palm disappeared. Without a sign, it vanished into the void. The overwhelming power contained in the palm disappeared without a trace. This is? She looked dumbfounded. Everyone present appeared baffled. On the other hand, all color had left the face of the owner of the huge palm, Kong Ming. Who is it? Kong Ming retorted, and his voice echoed throughout the heavens and earth, lingering for a long time. At that time, in the distant sky, a scarlet-robed figure appeared and was slowly approaching Kong Ming. Although he was slow, he had walked a long way with merely 2 steps, arriving at the center of the battlefield. The figure stopped. It was a figure of a young man who was carrying a long sword. As he waved his sleeves, the whole world went completely quiet. Seeing the person, Kong Ming squinted and cast a cold look. Queen Lanyue stared at the person in disbelief. Who are you? Asked Kong Ming in a low voice. Me. Jian Wushuang was smiling faintly. Didn't you just mention me? Mentioned you? Kong Ming paused thoughtfully before he realized. You are Queen Lanyue's master? Yes, I am her master. As for the name, it's Jian Wushuang. I wonder if you have heard of it. Jian Wushuang remained calm. A junior who just has lived for more than 2,000 years. How will I know you? Kong Ming snorted, full of disdain in his heart. When Jian Wushuang quietly undid his attack, he thought that he might be very strong and perhaps reached Eternal Realm. When he knew who Jian Wushuang was, he did not bother to pay attention to him. He's only been in the Eternal World for 2,000 years. In such a short time, even if he's somewhat talented, what level can he reach? A Divine Realm expert is the best he can be. Kong Ming thought to himself. He was an Eternal Realm and was among the best ones. In the whole wide world, only few top Dao Masters were worthy of his attention. It was not every day you got to see a Dao Master. Being in the Eternal World for 2,000 years, how could he become a Dao Master? How could he be? Naturally, Kong Ming did not pay close attention to Jian Wushuang. This ancient world belongs to the Firmament Territory, where I'm famous. Every Eternal Realm should know my name by now. However, if Kong Ming doesn't know me, that means he didn't come from the Firmament Territory. Jian Wushuang folded his hands behind his back with a rather strange look. After he came to the ancient world, he had deliberately concealed his own aura to stay under Kong Ming's radar. And looking at the current situation, Kong Ming really did not take him seriously. Jian Wushuang, I want your disciple as my maid and take her to the Eternal World. You're fine with that, aren't you? Kong Ming put on airs, looked at Jian Wushuang, and laid all his Eternal Realm aura onto Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang did not know whether to cry or to laugh. An Eternal Realm tried to lay pressure on him by his aura. There are a lot of people who are ignorant under the sun. You are one of them. Jian Wushuang smiled and spoke. You want to take my disciple to the ancient world? I certainly have no problems with that, but I have one condition. What condition? Kong Ming thought that Jian Wushuang had been completely overwhelmed by his Eternal Realm aura. You have to return to the Eternal World. Jian Wushuang teased. Kong Ming looked stunned. You are playing with fire, kid. As he finished, Kong Ming stretched to tap at Jian Wushuang from a distance. The stroke shattered the fragile void in this ancient world. The whole world seemed to be torn into pieces. It was a scene that could shake the world. The scene struck fear into the hearts of warriors from both Wushuang Sword Pavilion and Spirit Palace. God! This is the power that God has. Does God really want to destroy our Wushuang Sword Pavilion? The Wushuang Sword Pavilion warriors growled. Queen Lanyue was panicked and worried. Kong Ming was full of killing intents. Although he was seriously injured and could not play 1% of his strength. However, even if 1% of his power was enough to kill a normal divine realm expert. Abruptly, a breeze passed, the collapsed and ruined world quickly recovered. Kong Ming's stroke quietly dissipated without a trace. What? Kong Ming was stunned. Jian Wushuang glanced up coldly. Jian Wushuang's cold eyes left Kong Ming awestruck. He was frozen on the spot, his hairs stood up at once. Kong Ming opened his mouth, but could not say a word. Unprecedented fear snatched his heart. Only at this moment had he finally known who was standing in front of him. Dao Master? Is he a Dao Master? Kong Ming's eyes widened. Die. Jian Wushuang blew a breath, and a sword essence formed. Though seemingly small, it left Kong Ming in great terror. He snarled. Don't you dare! My master is Dao Master Blood Tusk. I am Dao Master Blood Tusk's disciple. Oh! Jian Wushuang cocked an eyebrow, and the immaterial sword essence that was rushed toward Kong Ming stopped in the void. Kong Ming swallowed, and looked at the immaterial sword essence in terror, then immediately he crushed a token. As soon as the token was broken, there was a spectral image that was completely formed by consciousness appeared in the world. This consciousness spectral image formed the appearance of a red-haired elder, who sounded kind of evil. I wonder which Dao Master wants to kill my disciple. Dao Master Blood Tusk wants to meet him. Chapter 1169, Fear. Chapter 1169, Fear. The spectral image of the red-haired cold elder appeared in the world. It was only a spectral image of consciousness, but it still carried the power enough to destroy this entire ancient world. Seeing the red-haired cold elder, many surrounding warriors trembled and could not help but feel a feeling of worship. It was like seeing a real god. In fact, with his strength, the red-haired cold elder did hold a godlike position in the ancient world. Master! Kong Ming was elated and started to regain his confidence. So what if you're a Dao Master? My master is the famous Dao Master Blood Tusk in the eternal world. Kong Ming scorned Jian Wushuang in his heart. Dao Master Blood Tusk? Jivan Wushuang smiled strangely. He heard of Dao Master Blood Tusk. He was a Dao Master at the peak of rank 2, and was indeed a strong expert even on Void Continent. Moreover, he was said to be a protege of Ape Holy Master. With a benefactor like that, he really had a good reason to look down the entire Void Continent experts. Is it you that wants to kill my disciple? The consciousness spectral image of Dao Master Blood Tusk looked at Jian Wushuang. Yes, it's me. What do you propose? Jian Wushuang smirked. Do you want to stop me by a spectral image of consciousness? Well, I can't really. But mark my words, if you dare to touch my disciple, I'll guarantee that, on the entire Void Continent, there'll be no place for you. Dao Master Blood Tusk warned in a cold tone. Oh! Jian Wushuang cocked an eyebrow and laughed. You really can talk, but I don't know where such confidence came from, just because Ape Holy Master is backing you. Do you know Ape Holy Master? Dao Master Blood Tusk immediately frowned. Ape Holy Master was the absolute overlord of Void Continent, and the monarch of North Sea Kingdom of the 4 big countries. He had both strength and influence. On Void Continent, almost no one dared to mess with him. But now, the Scarlet Robe young man, who knew Ape Holy Master was backing him, still looked confident, as if he did not take Ape Holy Master seriously. Kid, who are you? Dao Master Blood Tusk glared at Jian Wushuang. I am just an ordinary person from the ancient world. I have just entered the eternal world about 2,000 years ago. As for my name, I am afraid it'll disturb you. Jian Wushuang smiled. Disturb me? Dao Master Blood Tusk was disdainful. Master, this person is called Jian Wushuang, and he has only been in the eternal world for 2,000 years. I do not know how he got to be a Dao Master. Kong Ming added. However, hearing Kong Ming, Dao Master Blood Tusk's consciousness spectral image froze on the spot. His originally cold face turned into a shocked one, with terror in his eyes. What is his name again? Dao Master Blood Tusk teeth chattered from fear. His name is Jian Wushuang. What's the matter? Kong Ming was in doubt. Hearing Kong Ming confirmed, Dao Master Blood Tusk was awestruck and dazed. Jian Wushuang. Among the top powerhouses on Void Continent, how many of them did not know Jian Wushuang? Although he had never seen him, he had heard Jian Wushuang numerous times from Ape Holy Master and many other Dao Masters. He actually had been a headache and a monster in Ape Holy Master's eyes. And now, he told the monster that he would leave him no place on Void Continent. Had he really said that? Master Jian Wushuang. Dao Master Blood Tusk spoke again, but this time his voice trembled. His words left the whole battlefield in chaos. And Kong Ming was completely stunned. Master. His master Dao Master Blood Tusk actually called him Master after hearing his name. Didn't you call the opponent Master only when the opponent was too strong to be messed with? Could it be that this Jian Wushuang, who had only been in the eternal world for 2,000 years, made his master Dao Master Blood Tusk scared? Moon Queen Lan, as well as many disciples of the Wushuang Sword Pavilion, were stunned. Although they did not know how strong Dao Master Blood Tusk was, they knew that Kong Ming was already formidable, and his master must be even more mighty. But the very Dao Master Blood Tusk actually became so scared after hearing Jian Wushuang's name. In 2,000 years, what had Jian Wushuang gone through? What level had he reached? Dao Master Blood Tusk. Jian Wushuang spoke, and the voice was still bland. I'll take your disciple's life. No problem. Dao Master Blood Tusk answered, this damn thing has actually offended you, he deserves to die. Even if you don't do it, I will personally kill him when we return to the eternal world. Master? Kong Ming's eyes widened and he looked shocked. His master had always been looking for the disciples, but now he did not hesitate to throw him away. Obviously, his master was terrified of the Dao Master called Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang squinted and the immaterial sword essence that had been suspended in the void once again plucked. This time, it directly shot into Kong Ming's head, crushed his life core. Kong Ming died on the spot. This scene made Spirit Palace Master tremble and dare not to move. As for you, Jian Wushuang peeked at Dao Master Blood Tusk's consciousness spectral image and muttered, you'd better stay in the place where you live now, and it's best not to tell anyone about it today. I have already reported it to Ape Holy Master. Dao Master Blood Tusk was horrified. Oh, just him? Jian Wushuang looked cold. Yes, just him. Dao Master Blood Tusk nodded quickly. All right, off you go. Jian Wushuang waved. Master, so today, Dao Master Blood Tusk carefully looked at Jian Wushuang. I'll let it go. Jian Wushuang answered. Thank you, Master. Dao Master Blood Tusk felt relieved and bowed respectfully. Then his consciousness spectral image disappeared in the void. Jian Wushuang looked in the direction where Dao Master Blood Tusk vanished. Dao Master Blood Tusk did not know that even if Jian Wushuang let him off, that did not mean others would not. Chapter 1170, Helpless Ape Holy Master. Chapter 1170, Helpless Ape Holy Master. Chapter 1170, Helpless Ape Holy Master. The news that Jian Wushuang was still alive was a top secret, only 5 palace masters knew it. Now, Dao Master Blood Tusk and Ape Holy Master knew it. One could imagine what would happen next. Deep in a stretch of mountains, there was a huge blood-red castle. This blood-colored castle was where Dao Master Blood Tusk lived. In the deepest part of the castle, Tao Master Blood Tusk was leaning on the bed. "Get out, all of you!" Tao Master Blood Tusk's growl rang throughout the castle. The maids who were serving and the beautiful dancers in front of him all withdrew. Tao Master Blood Tusk rose up and looked terrible. "Idiot! I shouldn't have accepted him as my disciples. He used to be careless. Being hunted down by his enemies, he fled to the ancient world. I managed to get rid of the enemy for him. He'll only need some time to recover and then return to Green Fire World. I did not expect this idiot actually went to mess with Jian Wushuang." How could he mess with Jian Wushuang? Not even Ape Holy Master dares to confront him. Jian Wushuang can kill me so easily. Being in the Eternal Realm, why did him mess with Jian Wushuang? Idiot, really stupid. Tao Master Blood Tusk madly cursed. Although Kong Ming was dead, Tao Master Blood Tusk still wanted to resurrect him, in order to kill him with cruel means. It was really a formidable person that he had offended this time. After a long time, Tao Master Blood Tusk gradually calmed down. Fortunately, Jian Wushuang was nice. I bowed and apologized. He just let me off, otherwise, Tao Master Blood Tusk could not help feeling fearful. If Jian Wushuang really wanted him dead, then he would stand no place of surviving in Green Fire World. Anyway, I'm still alive. Tao Master Blood Tusk let out a sigh of relief. But at this time, what? Tao Master Blood Tusk sensed something. He noticed that two auras had entered his castle, and in a moment they appeared in front of him. They were a man and a woman, and their auras were very energetic, which both reached the rank 3 Tao Master level. "Master Yen and Master Ku, what brings you two here?" Tao Master Blood Tusk immediately got up and greeted. Among the 18 Masters of Void Temple, he could not afford to offend any of them. Naturally, he greeted respectfully. "Tao Master Blood Tusk, we're here under Temple Master's orders to kill you." Master Ku said directly. "What?" Tao Master Blood Tusk was greatly shocked and exclaimed. "To kill me? How is this possible? I have never offended the Void Temple. How will the Void Temple Master order to kill me? Have you mistaken?" Temple Master issued the order himself. "We couldn't have made a mistake. Now, prepare to die." Master Ku's voice was cold, and the next moment he struck directly. "No, it's impossible. How can he want me dead for no reason?" Tao Master Blood Tusk resisted as he screamed wildly. "I'll report it to Ape Holy Master. Ape Holy Master will help me." "Ape Holy Master?" Master Ku laughed. "He can hardly protect himself now. How can he manage to help you?" Master Ku and Master Yen had prepared for a long time. Before they started, they laid a restriction around the castle, so that Tao Master Blood Tusk had no way to escape. Even the message could not be transmitted again. Only for a moment, Tao Master Blood Tusk was killed. On the other side, in the distant North Sea Kingdom, Ape Holy Master was alone in the secret room cultivating a secret skill. Suddenly, a figure came, and at the same time, an immaterial power had covered the entire secret room to stop any message from going out. Void Temple Master. Ape Holy Master looked at the person who appeared in front of him in surprise. The Supreme Void Temple Master on Void Continent, one of Green Fire Palace Masters, actually appeared in front of him in the flesh. "Void Temple Master." Ape Holy Master immediately respectfully saluted. "What brings you here?" "Ape Holy Master, is Tao Master Blood Tusk your protégés?" Void Temple Master sounded indifferent. "Yes, he is." Ape Holy Master nodded subconsciously. "Not long ago, did this Tao Master Blood Tusk send a message to you?" Void Temple Master asked again. "Yes, he did." Ape Holy Master nodded again. "He told me that in the ancient world he saw Jian Wushuang." "That's right." Void Temple Master's eyes became cold. "Temple Master, what's wrong?" Ape Holy Master was in doubt. "This secret room is already protected. I might as well tell you that he's already capable to be a Green Fire Palace Master. And he has a great potential. He will definitely become the Green Fire Palace leader." Void Temple Master commented. Become a leader? Jian Wushuang? Ape Holy Master widened his eyes. Being a holy master and a member of the Green Fire Palace, though he did not live in the Green Fire Palace and was not kept posted, he knew that the leaders of Green Fire Palace were all formidable. He had met with Jian Wushuang and even bore hostility toward him, but the hostility only came from the battle between North Sea Kingdom and Kingdom Tang of the Eastern Land. It was nothing personal. He also acknowledged Jian Wushuang's talent. When the three big countries joined forces to attack Kingdom Tang of the Eastern Land, Jian Wushuang came to their rescue. But he never expected that Jian Wushuang had grown so much in such a short time. He was talented, thus the Jin Kingdom has tried to assassinate him at all costs, and in that assassination he was dead, said Void Temple Master. Dead? But Ape Holy Master froze and looked up at Void Temple Master. He had guessed why Void Temple Master came to him in person. I think you should already understand. Void Temple Master looked down. His survival is a top secret. Even in Green Fire Palace, only palace masters know about it. But now you learn the secret. Ape Holy Master was feeling helpless. He never wanted to learn it, though. It was Dao Master Blood Tusk that told him the secret. Dao Master Blood Tusk has been killed. Well, you're one of our Green Fire Palace and a valuable soldier. I won't kill you, but it can't let you stay on Void Continent anymore, so until Jian Wushuang becomes the leader of the Green Fire Palace to deal with the Jin Kingdom, you have to stay in my Oblivion Palace. Chapter 1171, Return to Star Island. Chapter 1171, Return to Star Island. When his words were finished, he did not give Ape Holy Master any chance to resist. With a flick of his hand, a great palace fell on Ape Holy Master. Ape Holy Master looked helpless and he did not want to resist. He knew very well that since Void Temple Master struck, his resistance would be futile, and if Void Temple Master did not kill him, he was being merciful. Blood Tusk, goddamn Blood Tusk. Why did you send messages to me? Ape Holy Master cursed in his heart. In the end, he was suppressed by the Great Palace. During the following years, until the Jin Kingdom knew Jian Wushuang's survival, Ape Holy Master had to live in the palace. After suppressing Ape Holy Master, Void Temple Master once again disappeared. At the same time, Jian Wushuang learned the news that Dao Master Blood Tusk was killed, and Ape Holy Master was suppressed by Void Temple Master. Oh, poor Ape Holy Master. He did not do anything, but still became imprisoned just because I am still alive. Jian Wushuang stood at the top of an attic, contemplating. At this time, Lin Lan came in. Master. Lin Lan directly crouched in front of Jian Wushuang and bowed respectfully. Get up. Jian Wushuang waved and a strength lifted Lin Lan up. You've really grown in the last 2,000 years, you actually became Queen Lanyue. Jian Wushuang smiled. It's all because of you, my master. Lin Lan respectfully said. When Jian Wushuang left the ancient world, he granted her a lot of swordsmanships, manuals, and treasures. In the end, she reached the peak by them. I did give you some things at the beginning, but you've achieved this all by yourself. Jian Wushuang waved. In addition, your strength is really rare in this ancient world, but if you put it in the eternal world, it's nothing. In the end, the ancient world is still too small, too small. In a few days, I will return to the eternal world. If you are willing to, I will take you there. Jian Wushuang looked into Lin Lan's eyes. I'm willing to. Lin Lan was pleasantly surprised. That's good, I will give you 10 days to let you deal with affairs of Wushuang Sword Pavilion and the ancient world. 10 days later, we'll set off. Jian Wushuang said. Yes. Lin Lan heavily nodded and went to arrange affairs of Wushuang Sword Pavilion. On the other hand, Jian Wushuang got to travel around the Divine Land. It had been 2,000 years, things had changed. On Divine Land today, he could hardly find an acquaintance. Naturally, there was no one for him to visit. He just visited some places he used to be familiar with. 10 days passed quickly. In these 10 days, Lin Lan disbanded Wushuang Sword Pavilion. After all, she built Wushuang Sword Pavilion. The fight with Spirit Palace inflicted great damage on them. If she left, the pavilion would soon be dismembered by other sects and forces. In this case, she simply disbanded Wushuang Sword Pavilion and distributed all the treasures that she had accumulated, so that the disciples could have their own way out in the future. All right, let's go. Jian Wushuang single-handedly stroked to break the void and then took Lin Lan into the Green Fire World. When he returned to Green Fire World again, Jian Wushuang took Lin Lan to Ancient Sect and visited Xian. Master, this is the disciple I received in the Ancient World more than 2,000 years ago. Her name is Lin Lan. I want to accommodate her here, and I hope that you can take care of her, said Jian Wushuang. Your disciple? Isn't that my disciple's disciple? Xian Yi smiled gently and looked at Lin Lan. Lin Lan, greet your grandmaster. Lin Lan respectfully said. Well, her talent and potential seem pretty good. It's a shame that there wasn't a suitable platform in the ancient world, but it is different in the eternal world. You can rest assured, I'll take care of this little girl. Soon the Firmament Territory feast will be held again, I'll bring her. Xian Yi said. Thank you, my master. Jian Wushuang replied. Having accommodated Lin Lan, Jian Wushuang bid farewell to Xian Yi and then left the Firmament Territory again. Having visited the ancient world, Jian Wushuang went to the Stellar Fog Sea. The Stellar Fog Sea on Void Continent had long been a mystery. Not even the many experts in Green Fire Palace, including the 5 Palace Masters, knew what was in the Stellar Fog Sea. But Jian Wushuang knew very clearly. The Stellar Fog Sea was actually a place for the Star Bloodline to choose disciples. Through the space wormhole of the Void Temple, Jian Wushuang quickly arrived at the edge of the Stellar Fog Sea. He did not hesitate and directly entered it. He saw vast gray fog which not only blocked one's view, but also stopped snooping from others. But Jian Wushuang's strength of soul had not been hindered. Jian Wushuang had been a disciple of the Star Bloodline. As soon as he entered the Stellar Fog Sea, Lord Spirit Sound on Star Island noticed him. Different from other Green Fire World Dao Masters who would be blocked outside, Jian Wushuang was not hindered and directly entered deep into the Stellar Fog Sea. It didn't take long for him to approach the central Star Island of the Stellar Fog Sea. On Star Island there were still a lot of warriors. Friends like Ling Long, Chen Yu, Zidong, and Dao Master Kong Ming, who had an agreement with Jian Wushuang, stayed there as well. Swoosh! When Jian Wushuang appeared on Star Island and his aura came out, the broad Star Island suddenly shook. A Dao Master aura? Did someone on the Star Island break through to the Dao Master level? No, although there are many people on the Star Island who are able to break through, they all suppress themselves. No one is willing to do it. It should be a newcomer, a new Dao Master. A group of people rushed, including the 5 Dao Masters standing on the top of the Star Island. They were all alarmed and rushed over. When they stopped in front of Jian Wushuang saw his face, they immediately recognized him. It's Blood Mountain. Is the Blood Mountain that left the island more than 1,000 years ago. He actually came back? Chapter 1172 Hope. Chapter 1172 Hope. Blood Mountain. When Jian Wushuang lived on the Star Island, he used the pseudonym Blood Mountain. Blood Mountain. His 3 friends Ling Long, Zidong, and Chen Yu were all present. All of you, I haven't seen you in ages, you're doing all right? Jian Wushuang smiled. Blood Mountain, I knew you will come back. You came to take us away, right? Chen Yu sounded excited. Well, I plan to, but I don't know if I can. Jian Wushuang replied. Blood Mountain, you've grown stronger than before, right? Zidong's eyes flashed with excitement. There had been 12 kings on the island, among whom Zidong always ranked the first, and he was the only one that passed the second test of the 3 tests of the Black Tower. Later, Jian Wushuang became the first one to pass 3 tests and left the Star Island. However, Zidong was still stuck in the level 2. Zidong naturally felt a little disheartened. Your strength must have improved and can pass the 3rd test, right? Jian Wushuang smiled. I am still far away from that. Zidong shrugged. Jian Wushuang spent some time chatting with his 3 friends. Blood Mountain. A deep voice rang, and a middle-aged man wearing a cyan gown and a stubble came over. Oh, Dao Master Kong Ming? Jian Wushuang grinned. Dao Master Kong Ming stopped in front of Jian Wushuang and looked him up and down. Finally, he nodded slightly and said, "My agreement with you is that you return to this star island within 100,000 years, but now it has been less than 2,000 years, and you already returned? Have you already obtained the strength to overcome the ultimate test?" "I can't know for sure, but I can try," Jian Wushuang said. He didn't know what the ultimate test was, and naturally he didn't dare to guarantee. "Oh." Dao Master Kong Ming cocked an eyebrow. "It looks like you're quite confident." "You might say so." Jian Wushuang smiled and nodded. If he was not confident, he would not have come to the Star Island so soon. However, just as Jian Wushuang finished, "Since my friend is so confident, I wonder if I can have a friendly competition with you." A gentle voice suddenly sounded. It was an old man in a gray robe. Standing next to him were 3 people whose aura had reached the level of Dao Master. The 5 Dao Masters on the Star Island were all present. "This is?" Jian Wushuang looked at the gray-robed elder. "This is Dao Master Thousand Water, who is the oldest and the most capable of the 5 Dao Masters on our Star Island." Dao Master Kong Ming introduced. "Oh." Jian Wushuang cocked one eyebrow. "Indeed, I'm the strongest of the 5. However, I'm still not qualified for the ultimate test yet." The gray-robed elder Thousand Water Dao said, "Since my friend aims at the ultimate test, then you have to be stronger than me in strength. I wonder if you're capable enough?" "Since Dao Master Thousand Water is interested, then it'll be disrespectful to decline, please." Jian Wushuang smiled in reply. "My friend, be careful," Dao Master Thousand Water reminded, and then a strong spiritual power surging on him. The pure power was far more powerful than an ordinary rank 3 peak Dao Masters. However, he still failed to compare with a holy master. Under the surging mighty spiritual power, Dao Master Thousand Water stretched to slap Jian Wushuang lightning fast. In an instant, a vast mountain aimed directly at Jian Wushuang. The power had definitely reached the level of Holy Master. He's only a Dao Master, but has the strength of a Holy Master. Dao Master Thousand Water is not weak. Jian Wushuang faintly smiled, and when the majestic mountain was about to hit him, he slowly stretched and gently stroked. It was such a casual and slow stroke that it seemed not to contain even the slightest power. But the majestic mountain had already been torn apart. A lot of spiritual power rushed around. Dao Master Thousand Water's eyes narrowed. A sword light had already penetrated his body directly. Clang. His body quickly returned to normal. He stood there, staring at Jian Wushuang with a hint of horror. The people around watching the battle were also wearing an incredible expression. Dao Master Thousand Water had let out all his strength, and Jian Wushuang just stroked to beat him without even drawing his sword. The special part about the Star Island was that you would not die here, otherwise Dao Master Thousand Water would have been dead. Was there such a gap between them? Dao Master Thousand Water, thank you. Jian Wushuang was smiling. Hope, you're our hope to pass the ultimate test. The old Dao Master Thousand Water trembled. Though defeated by Jian Wushuang, he was not angry and was actually extremely happy. Everyone watching the battle had become fanatical. Jian Wushuang had come to challenge the ultimate test on the Star Island. The stronger he was, the greater chance they had. Now that he had beaten Dao Master Thousand Water so easily, they all recognized his strength. Jian Wushuang was definitely promising to pass the ultimate test. Great. After so many years, have we finally seen a glimmer of hope? This Blood Mountain is definitely promising to pass the ultimate test and control the entire Star Island. In time, he can release us all if he'd like. Everyone on the Star Island was excited. Blood Mountain. An indifferent voice sounded. Everyone turned their heads and saw a beautiful and enchanting red-robed woman standing in the void. The people on the Star Island all looked in awe. Lord Spirit Sound. Jian Wushuang smiled. Come with me. Lord Spirit Sound finished her words, then turned around and left. Jian Wushuang immediately followed. Not long after, he followed Lord Spirit Sound into a palace. Sit down. Lord Spirit Sound waved, and Jian Wushuang sat down beside the table. I didn't expect this. In less than 2,000 years, you have already broken through to reach the Tao Master level and returned to the Star Island. You're fast enough. Lord Spirit Sound looked very surprised. It's just good luck. Jian Wushuang laughed modestly. It doesn't take good luck to break through to the Tao Master level, not to mention you're an inverse cultivator. Lord Spirit Sound said calmly, Well, where's Gu King? Let it out, I really want to see what that old guy becomes after following you. Jian Wushuang urged, and immediately Gu King transformed into a plenilune worm beast and climbed out of him. Chapter 1173, The Ultimate Test. Chapter 1173, The Ultimate Test. Gu King, I've hardly seen you like this. Seeing Gu King who climbed out of Jian Wushuang, Lord Spirit Sound couldn't help but laugh. When Gu King was in the Stellar Fog Sea, it was a real behemoth, big enough for anyone to look up to. But now, humph. Gu King snorted, but did not want to say anything else. Lord Spirit Sound shrugged and looked at Jian Wushuang. Blood Mountain, have you ever met the disciple who left Star Island 4 million years ago when you were outside? You mean Star King? Jian Wushuang looked regretful and immediately shook his head. I have never encountered any expert named Star King in these years in the Green Fire world, and I have had people check, but in vain. In the long history of Star Island in the Green Fire world, only 2 people had left the Star Island. One was Jian Wushuang, and the other was Star King. The Star King passed the test 4 million years ago and left the Star Island. When Jian Wushuang stayed in the Green Fire world, he had people checked, but there was no one named Star King. Since Star King can survive the test on the Star Island, he must be a true top genius. But if such a genius did not gain any reputation in the Green Fire world, he must have died a long time ago or had left the Green Fire world. Jian Wushuang speculated. In the Green Fire world, there were indeed many experts who, in order to pursue a higher level of strength, chose to enter the eternal chaotic world once they broke through to the Tao Master level. Is that so? Lord Spirit Sound nodded slightly, but immediately smiled. Forget it. Blood Mountain, you return to Star Island this time for the ultimate test, but the ultimate test can be extraordinary. After a pause, Lord Spirit Sound continued, The ultimate test on our Star Island is invented for holy masters. Although you are only a Tao Master, as an inverse cultivator, you are indeed qualified to be tested, but this is only the first step. I'm afraid you can pass it easily. I know it isn't easy, but I have to try anyway. Jian Wushuang comforted her. Okay, I will take you there now. Lord Spirit Sound got up. Under the guidance of her, Jian Wushuang soon came to the center of the Star Island, where 4 tall black towers stood. The 4 black towers represented the 4 levels of test, and the tallest one in the last was the ultimate test on the Star Island. At the moment, before the black tower, it was already packed with people. All the warriors trapped on the Star Island have gathered here. They knew that Jian Wushuang had returned for the ultimate test, so they all waited here full of expectations. He's here, Blood Mountain is here. Blood Mountain. When Jian Wushuang showed up, the crowd immediately clamored around him, and their eyes were extremely keen. They're really passionate, aren't they? Jian Wushuang cocked one eyebrow. These people have seen hope in you. They hope that you can overcome this ultimate test and take them away. Of course they're passionate about you. Lord Spirit Sound smiled. Well, the ultimate test is there, off you go. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded to himself and took a deep breath. Then he immediately entered the Black Tower where the ultimate test was under the eyes of those warriors. Once in the Black Tower, Jian Wushuang found himself in a dark void. This dark void was boundless. Even with his soul power, he failed to sense the perimeter of it. Such a vast void was big enough for universe masters to fight freely. In the center of this dark void, a burly figure with a huge axe stood. Is he my opponent in this ultimate test? Jian Wushuang stayed vigilant and tried to make out the burly figure in the dark. That burly figure possessed no aura at all. He was just a puppet fighter. Before taking the test, he asked Lord Spirit Sound about it. He knew that this ultimate test was different from those of the other 3 Black Towers. Other tests were divided into 3 stages. But the ultimate test had only 1 stage and 1 opponent. The opponent must be the puppet fighter carrying a huge axe in front of him. When Jian Wushuang entered this dark void, the calm figure stood in the dark opened his eyes suddenly. His eyes were in a strange golden color, and the moment he opened them, a horrible killing intent immediately vented, causing the surrounding void to tremble. All you have to do is beat me. The burly man with a huge axe opened his mouth and his voice was cold. Defeat this puppet fighter and I'll pass the test? The process is simple, but I'm afraid it won't be that easy. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly, and Blood Mountain Sword was already in his hands. Let's start this. The burly man stared at Jian Wushuang and his eyes flashed with killing intent. Boom! The void under the burly man's feet immediately collapsed, and then he approached Jian Wushuang like a flowing light. So fast! Jian Wushuang squinted. His speed was definitely much faster than the usual universe masters. At the moment when the burly man moved, he was holding the huge axe that had been on his back. The burly man clasped the giant axe, which was glaring with dazzling golden light, vast powers condensed. Without too many tricks, he directly brandished it at Jian Wushuang. At that moment, a beautiful blood-red halo broke out. Standing in front of the huge axe, Jian Wushuang felt it was like a savage beast. The prevailing power in the huge axe made him his heart jerk. Humph! Jian Wushuang grunted. The soul fire in the sea of consciousness trembled slightly, and then the soul power swept out, forming a sharp soul spike. The spike flicked toward the burly man and penetrated his body. However, the burly man just paused. Soon he struck his giant axe again. How could he not be affected by my soul attack? Jian Wushuang was shocked. He surged the strength throughout his arms. Finally, the strength all gathered in Blood Mountain Sword. Heaven's Bane! Jian Wushuang looked vicious. He had tried his best to display his most powerful stroke, Heaven's Bane. Bam! There was a fierce explosion in the void. Jian Wushuang tried hard to contain himself. The void under his feet was shattered like scraps of paper. The burly man pulled back the giant axe lightning fast, and the next moment he struck again. Chapter 1174, Failure. Chapter 1174, Failure. The power of the first axe had just been displayed and the burly man wielded his axe toward Jian Wushuang again immediately. It was overwhelming as well and left no chance for Jian Wushuang to breathe. The move, Heaven's Bane, Jian Wushuang had just executed barely withstood the burly man's first blow. When his axe hacked toward him again, he only had the time to hold the Blood Mountain Sword across his chest. Bang! A loud noise rang out accompanied by a muffled snort let out by Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang flew backwards due to the impact. He continually rolled during the process and managed to regain his balance after quite a while. The burly man stood in the dark void. He put the giant axe behind him and his eyes closed again. I'm defeated. Jian Wushuang looked up at the burly man in front of him, but he still felt unbelievable. He knew the ultimate test of Star Island was extremely difficult, but he did not expect it to be so tough. It was aimed at celestial masters, but he actually possessed the genuine battle strength of a universe master. As a result, he failed to resist the 2 blows from that burly man. Although it's a test that is designed for celestial masters apparently, ordinary universe masters cannot pass it. Anyone who wants to pass it must possess the battle strength at the peak of universe master level. Jian Wushuang thought secretly. After a brief confrontation, he had a general understanding of the strength of this puppet fighter. The puppet fighter must have reached the peak of Universe Master level and be no weaker than Red Snow King, who had pursued him on the battlefield. Let a Celestial Master defeat a peak Universe Master? Jian Wushuang gasped in shock. At the same time, he secretly admired. It is worthy of being the test set by the founder of the Star Bloodline. It's really demanding. It seems that it's impossible for ordinary geniuses to pass this test and join the Star Palace. The Star Bloodline only selected 2 kinds of disciples. The first type were ordinary disciples who just needed to pass the test of a Black Tower. Jian Wushuang and Star King were now merely ordinary disciples. The second type were disciples of the Star Palace. Anyone who wanted to be this type was required to pass the ultimate test. What Jian Wushuang did not know was that the Star Bloodline was also an overlord in the eternal chaotic world. Members of the Star Bloodline who were able to join the Star Palace were extremely rare. If ordinary geniuses could join the Star Palace, weren't its disciples could be seen everywhere on the street. My current strength barely reaches the Universe Master level. There is still a long way to go before it reaches the peak of Universe Master level. I assume it would be unrealistic to pass the ultimate test anytime soon. Jian Wushuang shook his head and then left there. Many warriors who had been trapped on Star Island were waiting outside the Black Tower with a look of strong desire and expectation. They had been trapped on this island for so long that they were anxious to go out. At this point, Jian Wushuang walked out of the Black Tower. He is coming out. Haven't he just entered it? Why did he come out so soon? Did he pass the ultimate test? A large number of warriors swarmed forward. Blood Mountain. Blood Mountain. Ling Long, Xian Yu, Zidong, Dao Master Kong Ming, and Dao Master Thousand Water were foremost among the warriors. They looked at Jian Wushuang with eyes filled with anticipation. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Jian Wushuang said apologetically. Upon hearing this, the expressions of the warriors on the scene all altered. After all, it's the ultimate test of Star Island. Therefore, it's not so easy to get through. Dao Master Thousand Water said first in a resonant voice, "Everybody, we mustn't be too hasty. Take our time." Blood Mountain, you didn't get through the ultimate test this time, but I believe you must have witnessed its difficulty. Do you have any confidence? Dao Master Thousand Water asked. Confidence? Jian Wushuang froze. Looking at so many expectant faces, he couldn't help but take a deep breath and said solemnly, "Yes, of course. Although the ultimate test is extremely difficult, I still have a way to pass it. However, it takes some time." Great. As for time, anyway, we've been trapped here for so long and don't care about it. How long do you need? 10,000 years? 100,000 years? Dao Master Thousand Water asked repeatedly. I don't know. Jian Wushuang shook his head. But I'll try my best at any rate. Hearing that, Dao Master Thousand Water and other people exchanged glances. Later he said, don't put too much pressure on yourself, just do your best. Sometimes, the more pressure, the less progress. Everybody let's go. Blood Mountain, you just need to work hard. If there is anything we can help, don't hesitate to let us know. Inform us the next time you're ready for the ultimate test. After finishing speaking that, he left directly. The warriors on Star Island departed as well. While they were leaving, Jian Wushuang could clearly see the disappointment in their eyes. However, he was unable to do anything with that. He couldn't make any promise except for doing his utmost. After everyone had left, Blood Mountain, are you sure you'll pass the ultimate test? Qian Yu, Jian Wushuang's friend, asked seriously. I'm kind of confident about that. Jian Wushuang nodded. He was indeed confident. Although the ultimate test was incredibly difficult, he still had a little bit of confidence in his ability. The battle strength at the peak of Universe Master level. My strength is really far behind that level, but I can reach it as long as time allows. Jian Wushuang clenched his fists. There was enough room for the improvement of his current strength. His sword principles. Only one of them reached the most powerful level. As for the speed sword principle and yin-yang sword principle, they were still at the creation level. He could still upgrade them. As long as one of them reached the most powerful level, his strength would naturally skyrocket. In addition, his ancient god power already reached the 3-star peak. He reckoned that it wouldn't be long before his strength broke through to the 4-star ancient god level. Once his strength reached that level, his power would increase by leaps and bounds. Naturally, his overall strength would follow suit. Currently, I only need to upgrade either the Speed Sword Principle or the Yin-Yang Sword Principle to the most powerful level and improve my Ancient God power so that it breaks through to the 4-star Ancient God level. In this way, my battle strength ought to reach the peak of the Universe Master level. At that time, chances are that I am able to pass the ultimate test. Jian Wushuang clasped his hands and his sharp eyes emanated horrifying light. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.